Hello. Oh yeah, Frank Tufano. No, never played Azra's Wrath. Oh my god. What in the fuck?
Here's how you bone smash in the most effective manner. What you want to do is realize that the swelling.
It's comical that these looks maxing grifter clowns were talking about how important your IQ is and then go and tell people to hit themselves in the face with a hammer. Like, I hope these people aren't being serious, because how high of an IQ do you need to understand that it's not possible to evenly distribute trauma? If there was like some type of machine that could perfectly do it, maybe, but that's why there's implants where you can actually design and place the specific amount of millimeters of tissue in different parts of your face, and there's obvious risks to that as well, but there's no legitimate before and afters of this bone smashing stuff outside of people just becoming leaner. And again, you cannot accurately evenly distribute trauma to the bones of your face to simulate symmetrical growth. It's a really
Who would have figured Frank would be smarter than Face IQ on a topic?
Oh my god. All of these looks maxing influencers are pure scumbag industry plants. This guy K Shammy knew that doctor
Yeah, I saw the ceasefire ended already.
completely butchered my face. I would be surprised if he actually had a legitimate consultation with him. The sole purpose of this post was to test the waters about how much people knew about Dr. Taban in an attempt to promote the doctor. Keshamy's low-level Illuminati person, Dr. Taban's Illuminati. Point is, they're in a club that doesn't care about you. Their only goal is to make money off of you. But after doing that post, he realized that botchedbytaban.com has had more of an impact that Dr. Taban would like to believe. So don't listen to anything these looks maxing greedy shills are saying. We got a few new things this week on Frankie's Free Range Meat. Some of these organs we've been selling, some of them are completely new. So we've had very limited availability on cow's brain. We've
Why is he showing this on camera?
always sold veal brain. Sometimes we have lamb brain. Beef heart we've always had, except we're going to sell the whole.
Okay, that's just horrific. Gummy, no. Just leave.
What's up, guys? We're down here at Frankie's Free Range Meat. You guys know I'm not really too enthusiastic about being in front of the camera, but you know that's how I built my business, and ever since the surgery, I don't really want to do it anymore. But until I find a way to be able to help people without having to be in front of a camera, then we're stuck doing this for now. So we got a lot of new stuff going on this week as usual, always trying new things, and hopefully we can get some of the issues sorted out and I can get my money back. I mean, even the things I thought were guaranteed didn't work out. Like that refrigeration failure, the insurance company made up some excuse not to pay it. So like they said, oh, because it wasn't an equipment failure, the thermostat, it's like some BS they made up so they don't have to pay. But now what do I do? Because is the insurance company going to pull that same BS when I have a bigger issue? Like this was 45. I lost $45,000 worth of product that I thought I was going to get back. So that was going to kind of help. And since I haven't got that money now, I'm behind on all my bills. I can't pay some people for food. It's really, really bad. So on top of having the Wagyu stolen from me, $20,000, $25,000 down the drain, on top of the potato chip equipment machinery going bad, on top of, I'm paying per month on that refrigeration equipment. It's just a disaster. Let's just show you guys what's going on. Well, point is, I didn't even get paid the insurance money for the food loss, so it's just getting worse and worse. Some bacon yesterday. I made a fresh batch of sourdough that's already in the freezer, staying as fresh as possible. We're about to put these pizza crusts in the freezer. A lot of them didn't turn out too well, so we're going to throw out the bad ones. We tried doing a high hydration dough, and it wasn't really that easy. But on top here,
Yeah, Clarence is still here. He's sleeping.
here is our English muffins. We're going to make some breakfast sandwiches with these. I think it's going to be at least egg and cheese. We might try to put some prosciutto on there. But I was looking at, like, McDonald's charges like $5 or $6 just for a McMuffin. So how much am I supposed to charge for the highest quality version of that? Organic sourdough bread with raw grass-fed butter on it, with corn and soy-free pasture-raised eggs, and then we're using the highest quality cheeses, raw provolone and raw Emmentaler Swiss cheese. So it's going to be nice. We're going to slice these, put the eggs on them with the cheese, freeze them. So you're basically going to have, just like our hamburgers and cheeseburgers and pizza, you're going to have a meal, but this is going to be for breakfast, which is going to be really special. Over here real quick, we're just putting some of the goat whey in bottles. I've been making my own raw dairy now, and I'm getting some goats on my property, so we're probably transitioning to having an even fresher product. So this batch of goat cheese I actually made myself. We used an animal rennet, no heat cheese process. So no.
We already watched this, didn't we? Did he re-upload this, or... Because it showed I didn't see it. Yeah, we already saw this. I think he re-uploaded it or something. Weird. That's really weird. Dodo donated $2. Let me see. Palestinian American took her black friends to the West Bank to volunteer. Palestinians called them monkeys and slaves during the trip. When they complained, she defended it, saying they should just accept the abuse. Yeah.
For me to admit, because I was so excited to go on this trip with Black Americans, because I was always under the impression that Black people will be our greatest allies because they understand more than anybody what it's like to live under occupation, what it's like to be oppressed and racially
What a fucking retarded, racist thing to say. Yeah, just because you're black. Oh, obviously you're treated like shit, right?
profiled. But during the trip, it felt like some people were too busy playing Oppression Olympics to fully grasp the experiences of Palestinians living in Palestine. Some people came on the trip with a very limited understanding of the Palestinian people and the Palestinian cause, which is problematic in and of itself. But the
Okay, so it's funny how she says Oppression Olympics. She's literally playing the Oppression Olympic. Oh, Palestinians are more oppressed than you. So
applying a Western lens of racial dynamics to a place where it does not apply. I am not going to sit here and...
What do you consider an elite bench press? 500 paused? No, I'd say like anything over 405.
deny that anti-blackness exists in every single part of the world. But the issue of race is much different in Palestine than in most other places in the world. In Palestine, Palestinians of all colors are undoubtedly the most oppressed people.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, just fucked hard. She's pretty hot, though. I'd fuck her face.
Sue me.
This is America. People file lawsuits at the drop of a hat.
But if they sue, you're liable too, right?
Who's liable?
You.
Me personally?
Yeah.
Not unless I'm involved in infringing their trademark, no.
Yeah, the appearance release you signed before had a clause that said you would be liable too if Starbucks sued.
I don't agree to this at all. I do not agree to pay all legal fees and damages legal action because I have no control over what's being released.
Well, why did you sign that then?
Yeah, I signed it, and I signed it because I didn't have a chance to read it, and I
But
thought
you're a
it was
lawyer,
just...
don't you read things before you sign
I
them?
do read things. I try to read things, but you wanted me to shoot, and I glanced at it, and this was my mistake. I'll acknowledge that.
Okay. Well, you signed it, so I guess you can give
Well,
that back.
I'm not going to give it back because I'm going to...
Well, I handed it to you just to look over, but you already...
No, I'm not going to give it back to you. I'm protecting myself and, frankly, you from a nightmare.
Well,
I
you
would never
signed
accept
it.
that.
We have you on camera signing it, so it still holds up in court.
You don't have me on camera signing it.
Yes, we do.
What kind of lawyer am I? I'm signing shit I haven't read. Well, if you do, that's fine. Then you'll know how the terms. I'm going to put it in my pocket.
Well, no, we don't want it in your pocket.
We do want it in my pocket. Please, you're in my office.
So if I...
Oh, that is fucking hilarious. That was actually amazing.
I can convince you that Islam is the one true religion and every other religion is false in 15 seconds. And I just found out about this right now. It is absolutely crazy. The words man and the words women are both mentioned 23 times in the Quran, and we have 23 chromosomes. The word land is mentioned 13 times.
That is not true.
And the word sea is mentioned 32 times. That's exactly 71% sea and 29% land, which is the combination of the
None of these things are true.
earth. The word day is said 3.
Okay. Somebody must have told him this. I'm assuming. Where is the Jihadi Memorial Corner honoring senior members of Hamas? Yeah. Right. Oh my god.
People, and I'm really upset because I noticed a lot of negligence around the event and I'm not happy.
Twitch's only punishment for the streamer that attempted to sexually assault Imaru was a 30-day ban. What in the fuck? Don't they ban people for life for, like, nothing? And somebody tried to sexually assault her in public, and they gave him a 30-day ban?
With the way that they're handling it.
This Imaru chick seems annoying as fuck, but still.
You think ChatGPT is a viable learning tool to understand things like economics, politics, science, history and other topics? I never paid attention in school, so I use ChatGPT to improve my literacy in logic, science, economics, etc.
Well, no, ChatGPT itself isn't a viable learning tool. It will give you so much noise and false answers still. So, no, using it itself is not a viable learning tool. Thanks for the donation, though, Sengoku. Dodo donated $2. Let me see.
It's partially a result of settler colonialism that all of us can become New Yorkers, that all of us can settle into the city. And yet there would be these moments where I would be reminded by someone whose intent was to tell me that you do not belong. And one of those first moments was on 9/11, when, before I knew what had happened, my teacher had pulled me and a Muslim classmate of mine out of the class.
Wasn't there a Pew Research poll where like a huge percentage of Muslims supported the 9/11 terror attack?
And told us that something has happened and you may be bullied. And I want you to tell me if that happens. And frankly, I was lucky because most Muslim students in the city were not given that kind of care from their teachers. And yet in that moment, I realized that I was not simply another classmate in a middle school. I was distinct. And there was a marker of that distinction on me. And it was something...
This dude's just gay as shit. Don't give two fucking shits about anything he has to say.
Asking a question. No.
He's getting...
You have to listen to me. Just had one more question.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Question. One question. No.
Don't listen to him. He's trying to manipulate you.
I'm not fighting or
Neither one of us are fighting. You're being more confrontational than we are. You're trying to confront this man and force him to go inside, officer. You're violating our free speech.
That you are trespassing from the property of the church.
You see this? This man right here is threatening to trespass this Muslim right here because he's talking to a Christian on a sidewalk. You see that?
On the property, you're going to go to jail for trespassing.
Uh-oh. Listen, come here. Please, just...
Yeah, don't let Muslims in.
Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva.
As soon as we get back to legislative session, when Chuck Schumer allows us to turn the lights back on.
Why haven't you done it already?
Because this is the way the institution works. I'm following the Pelosi precedent, by the way, when my dear friend from Louisiana, Julia Letlow, was elected to fill the seat of her deceased husband because of COVID. Nancy Pelosi took 25 days to swear her in. By the way,
are you saying? Let me stop you. Are you saying that Nancy Pelosi refused to swear her in earlier?
No, I'm saying that's my very point. Is this is the normal
my
process.
understanding is that was the date that actually the representative-elect Letlow at the time requested. She had obviously her.
Okay, here's some more examples. Okay.
No, but wait a minute. You mentioned the Pelosi precedent, but Pelosi didn't delay that.
Let me give you more of the Pelosi precedent. Okay.
And what about the Johnson precedent? Because you swore in two Republicans the day after their election.
I'm happy to answer. Pelosi precedent. Pat Ryan, Joe Simplinsky. They were elected during an August recess. So 21 days later, when the House returned to...
I like how these people just get fucking exposed.
Regular legislative session, they were administered the oath.
Yeah, Clarence and I trained today.
That's what we're doing. We're not in session right now.
Alex from Alpha Destiny also came over, and we all had a workout. Alex was filming, and Clarence filmed some stuff too.
Grijalva was elected after the House was out of session. As soon as we return to legislative session, as soon as the Democrats decide to turn the lights back on so we can all get back here, I will administer the oath on the first day.
You could swear her in tomorrow, right?
No, not tomorrow. No, we couldn't. We wouldn't. There was an exception for two Floridians earlier in this Congress, but the reason was they were duly elected, they had a date set, they flew in all their friends and family, and the House went out of session.
So if she flies in friends and family, then...
We don't have a date set. She was elected after...
Okay.
I don't know how people take Republicans seriously.
The work of the white supremacists. I just want to let you know you're doing amazing white supremacist work. And if you go over into them colonized lands, you out of your...
Yeah, well, they're all racist. Thanks for the donation, Dodo. Dodo donated $2. Mamdani appears smiling arm in arm with 93 WTC bombing co-conspirator and terrorist apologist. Yeah, that sounds about right. Retarded. Zelensky knows that Putin won't approve a ceasefire, so he puts Trump in a pickle here.
For our nations and such circumstances where we are and what we have, and against such big country which is against us, I think we have to stop where we are. And he is right. The President is right that we have to stop where we are.
Well, he's playing the game.
This is a tiny piece of metal just 3 millimeters across. And here's what happens if you just keep zooming in. 1,000 times, 100,000 times, 50 million times. Each of these blobs is an actual atom. I saw this the other day at the University of Sydney, and it kind of blew my mind, because up until just 30 years ago, directly seeing atoms like this was thought to be impossible.
So why is it so hard to see atoms?
Well, you can't actually see atoms with visible light. That's because while light has wavelengths between 380 and 750 nanometers, an atom is still...
Yeah, Clarence is gonna upload the footage, and Alpha Destiny might end up posting some of the stuff to his channel too.
Still over 3,000 times smaller, just 0.1 nanometers. And if the wavelength of light is much bigger than the thing you're trying to see, the light will just diffract or bend around it, so you won't be able to see it.
So if you want to see atoms, you need something with a much, much smaller wavelength. The best candidate isn't even light. It's electrons.
This is a...
Alright, well thanks, Dodo. Dodo donated $2.
Done to determine who has better problem-solving skills in groups. The task was for both ants and humans to maneuver a T-shaped object through a maze. Note that the humans were prevented from communicating with each other, replicating the same abilities as ants. The experiment showed that ants actually performed better in a group than humans. This is because the humans had a greedy solution approach in the group, where each human wanted to move the object in their own way, whereas the ants acted more as a colony, a single unified entity with a shared goal. Ants versus humans.
Now that Hamas has taken over again, they're, what?
Shooting everybody.
Shooting everybody. Where are the protesters? Suddenly the keffiyeh-wearing college kids are very
quiet. Can't be found, yeah, can't be found anywhere.
This is okay? It's just amazing, the asymmetry of what goes on. Have you noticed that now that Hamas has taken over again, they're, what?
Shooting everybody.
Shooting everybody. Where are the notice that there's...
Well, yeah, I mean, we all know why.
Morning, Mr. Mamdani. Mr. Mamdani, you have anything to say about your relationship with Imam Wahaj? Come on, man. Mr. Mamdani, anything to say about the Imam? He said some nasty stuff. Does it bug you? Anything.
Yep. Zoran Mamdani smiles at the woman responsible for making being gay punishable by death in Uganda. On the right, Zoran Mamdani smiles with an unindicted co-conspirator in a terrorist plot that killed 6 New Yorkers. Yep. That's what he does. Why are women such immature children?
You actually look like a loser.
Who?
You.
No, who the asked?
You're a loser.
Wipe off your makeup and then look in the mirror and then you'll realize who the loser is.
Don't talk to a girl like that.
I believe in equality. Talk shit, you get it back.
Shut the f up.
I believe in equality.
You say one more thing about those girls, you're being through for the rest of your life.
Is that a death threat?
Wow, gay bitch little white knight here thinks he's gonna get some pussy. You talk to those girls like that, I'm gonna hurt you. Yeah, right, dude. This fucking little twink can't even do 10 push-ups. What a fucking loser.
Is that a death threat?
Wait, what's happening? I'm gonna be the judge. He's talking to these girls disrespectfully. What did he say?
So she called me ugly and I said, just because you have 10 bodies doesn't make you a 10.
That's fair game.
Fair game.
Listen,
they try to put on for the whole...
You actually look like a
Yeah. Fucking gay-ass simps. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
As a long-time dirt rally fan, I'm genuinely intrigued about to Project Motor Racing showing off...
So wait, what? You're getting a roommate? Tell my nosy butt everything that you feel comfortable sharing. I'm really curious.
Well, Isaac, ask yourself, is moving in. So, he's moving in at the end of the month. But, thanks. That's really all there is to it. But, thanks for the donation, even though. Appreciate it.
some raw gameplay footage. But the one that I'm most interested in, and you probably only saw this if you're watching the Sim Racing Expo livestream on YouTube or attended the event in person, was Assetto Corsa Evo's free roam preview. Yes, what you're seeing on screen right now is actual pre-alpha gameplay footage of Kuno's brand new open world map, and honestly, it looks extremely promising. First announced that it would feature an open world map, the developers at Kunos made some very bold claims. They said that the map, which is centered around the legendary Nürburgring in the Eifel region of Germany, would cover over 1,600 square kilometers, which is absolutely massive. But on top of that, everything would be recreated at a near one-to-one scale. We drive so world that feels alive and unpredictable.
They're gonna have a rally in fucking Assetto Corsa Evo. I'm so fucking pumped for it.
So, fast forward to the Rome map happen. Another title to release with hundreds of...
Like, look how cool that is.
I was playing
There was a coworker that left. I didn't get her number, so... She's the one that got away, I think. And some people are telling me don't go chasing coworkers, man.
Been there, AP.
But other than that, 10 years working at that place, I'm happy.
Looks like Aaron P is enjoying himself. That's good.
Hello, everybody. Welcome or welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Hannah. I'm an IFBB.
You know, I gotta say, her voice actually is really sexy. Kind of like how she has the rougher voice due to steroids. It's kind of hot. Dodo donated $2. Let me see.
Tonight we are hearing for the first time from a controversial former congressman now out of prison after President Trump commuted his sentence. Stephen Roma was following this. And Stephen, George Santos says he feels like he's getting a second chance.
Yeah, Haldy, today.
Yeah, the party of law and order, letting all the criminals out of jail.
We heard from Santos for the first time after his release from prison on Friday, apologizing to the public and saying he wants President Trump to know he won't disappoint him. Santos was serving a 7-year federal sentence for convictions of wire fraud and aggravated theft. He talked about the moment he found out that sentence and restitution were commuted.
Saw it and called me over to see it.
I spoke.
Well, that's a shame.
If you hear people talk about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict on both sides, they'll go back like 2,000-3,000 years about who has rights. On the Tucker Carlson interview, Putin was talking about things that happened in like 500 BC. So the big achievement is just like, look, the past is the past. Whatever the borders are right now, we're going to enforce those. We don't care who like claims to have rights to it because of what happened in 1700s or something.
That is modern international law. And that's the problem with what his magic he's working on Ukraine, is they signed multiple times at the breakup of the Soviet Union and then afterwards what Ukraine's borders were, and they're violating all that. Well, have fun with it because the Chinese can play that game in reverse on Siberia, and we'll see how happily that one ends. These
Yeah, they probably will.
disputes go back forever, and it's like musical chairs. We're now freezing. Whatever chair you're in, that's it. And it turns out that those countries that focus on territory or ripping it off from someone else, it's negative sum. You're going to fight over it. You're going to destroy it in the process. And the Europeans are a great example to us all of just call
Jeffrey and Jessica are losers. First of all, Jeffrey's addicted to video games and he's always shouting when he's on his Discord calls. Every time his father walks past his bedroom, he drops his head in shame. Meanwhile, Jessica masturbates every day. She's never been told that porn is bad for women too. They both complain about the cost of living crisis instead of...
This guy makes videos for retarded children. Like, Jesus Christ.
This is Washoe County Courthouse. Inside are...
Okay, this is 56 minutes. I don't know if we'll get through all that. America's semiconductor boom is real.
Thank you to CyberGhost VPN for...
Maybe... Dodo. Thanks for the donation.
Pro female bodybuilder, and on this channel we talk about steroids, bodybuilding, and all the things. So if you like that kind of content, stick around. I guess that my last video ruffled some feathers, so I'm here today to apologize and go back to my corner. I'm just kidding. I'm gonna call it out directly. But before I do that, I just want to make something clear that I do not have issue with the athletes specifically in these videos. It's the big influencers that are, in my opinion, glossing over nuance and confusing people on purpose. There are fitness creators out there who want you to believe that blood work alone can prove whether or not somebody is natural. And I am here to tell you that is not the case. Standard testosterone blood tests will not show total androgenic activity. They only detect testosterone, not full anabolic activity from DHT or 19-nor compounds. And let's be real, big influencers know that testosterone levels alone, standard testosterone levels alone, cannot prove anything. Blood work can only show if you're currently using testosterone.
I will be in Canada near you and Isaac. Looking forward to eating some lentils and kale together. When are you moving back to Canada? Sweet. We can visit you sometime soon.
And even then, only at super physiological levels.
Yeah, I tend to prefer masculine women. The main reason is when women are too feminine, they just become fucking gay and stupid and lame. It just annoys me. I swear, when someone when a chick becomes too girly, they're just fucking retarded. Like, they're stupid. You end up hearing so much anti-intellectualism from chicks, and they have the most gay, lame, retarded hobbies, listen to the shittiest music, watch the shittiest movies. Like, everything they do is fucking stupid and lame. So, yeah, I prefer tomboy-type chicks, because they're fucking cool and fun, and they tend to be smarter, and they're more funny, and, they're into cool shit, so yeah. I really don't like super feminine women.
Will it flag abnormal? Look, I may not have a PhD or a million followers, but I've been in this industry for a long time. I've known pros who blast PEDs all year round, then get off for a few months, go get their labs done, and their testosterone comes back normal or even low normal. Myself included in that. I showed you guys my labs on my last video. Now I'm going to use this video as an example of how some big creators can manipulate the narrative and mislead people.
The internet thinks both of these influencers are lying about being natural, and I'm not a fan of fake natties, so I came up with a plan. I invited them to fly out to film a workout together, but at the last minute, said I'd like to blood test them with only 48 hours notice. I have a medical...
Now I'm going to pause here and say there's no way for us to know whether or not he actually did not give these guys a heads up. And again, this is not about the athletes themselves. I'm not trying to say that they're natty or not natty. I'm not guessing that here. I'm just calling out the influencers like Jeff Nippard that are not going over the nuance intentionally, in my opinion here.
Doctor measure their testosterone levels, compare them to mine, and see whether or not they fall within the natural range.
Username Johnny Tillers. How do you know a Reddit TrueTide supplier is legit since it's not for sale for human consumption yet? Well, good suppliers will post third-party testing results with batch numbers. So they'll order a batch from a supplier. They'll test the batch with a third-party tester like Janishik. They'll post the results online, and then you'll have the batch number, and then you buy the product and it'll show the batch number, and then you can cross-reference it with the results on the website, or you can just kind of roll the dice, but just get it tested yourself. Again, there's labs like Janishik that do third-party testing, so you can verify it's real. And also, if you're super lazy, the smart thing to do is to find a community of people who are into, all these steroids or peptides and shit, and they talk about their sources, and they do their third-party testing. And if they do their third-party testing and use the products and have a good experience with it, then that's another way of knowing source is legit. I haven't seen too much faked Retatrutide anywhere. That said, like, I'm not a fucking retard, and I don't just click on an ad on Facebook and order from the ad, but I haven't seen really much faked Retatrutide. Like, these things are fairly easy to make. They're pretty simple peptides, so there's not really much point in faking it. And I mean, if you fake it, it's pretty easy to know, like, right away if it's faked. Thanks for the donation, though, username. Oh, wait, my bad. I haven't bought anything that wasn't from a direct pharmacy. Thanks for your expertise. Are you still on 1 milligram a week? How much does it reduce your appetite? No, I stopped taking it, just to see how I do. I'm eating more food, so I don't think, I need it quite as much for more stable blood glucose. And, 1 milligram a week didn't reduce my appetite. 2 milligrams a week, I really noticed it. The appetite suppressing effect was actually too strong. But dropping it down to 1 milligram a week, I didn't actually notice it. I was also splitting it up in 0.5 milligram doses. So that might be another reason why I didn't notice such an appetite-reducing effect from it. But yeah, 2 milligrams a week for me, split up into 2 1 milligram doses. That, like, annihilates, like, 90% of my appetite. For me, it's really strong. Thanks for the donation, though, username.
Just be fluffier, brutal man.
Those are nice kitties. Well, those kitties are all nice. Thanks for the donation, Black Pill Kitty.
Well, cool, I hope it works out well. I think it's better to have companionship than to be alone. How many animals will there be total? Is he bringing any animals?
Just one. Just Gummy and the few Asian beetles and firebugs that keep wandering around my house. If you include the bugs, I guess it's maybe like 7 or 8. There's always like 3 or 4 fire beetles and a couple more Asian beetles upstairs and in the basement, but yeah, excluding the bugs, just one. Isaac doesn't have any pets. But thanks for the donation, Ethan, though. I notice the music you like has no auto-tune. Do you not like music with auto-tune? Well, the music with auto-tune tends to be, you know, like hip-hop and rap trash.
Is this physique achievable, Natty?
Well, Fauzi isn't natty. He takes steroids. You can achieve that physique natty, but he's not natural. Fauzi takes steroids. He's... I think he's admitted it, but people have outed him for taking steroids. Yeah, so he's on like a TRT dose here. I can guarantee you.
What I am looking like, and I am hype as ever. About to head to... Again, thank you so much.
Yeah, so he's not natty. Thanks for the donation, Sneed.
Bro, Khalistanis are going to hold a referendum in Ottawa in November. Do you think you'll go just as a unique experience?
वाहिगुरू जी का खालसा वाहिगुरू जी की फतेह राज बिना ना धर्म चले हैं धर्म बिना सब दले मने हैं
Yeah, I mean, I would have to. That just seems absolutely bizarre. This is such a bizarre set of circumstances. November 23rd. Okay, I'll have to actually attend that. Thanks for the donation, Skur.
I don't know why, but my arms to my perspective feel small. I have 16-inch arms, no pump, natural, and people say I have nice arms, but I don't see it.
Well, if you have 16-inch arms and you work out, your arms are going to look way better than like 99% of people. It's just that to you, with your beauty standards, looking at like fitness influencers and shit on Instagram, like, yeah, to you, it doesn't seem that great. But to an average normie who doesn't work out, yeah, 16-inch arms are pretty decent. Thanks for the donation, though, Toji.
Where is your friend?
I believe he is currently sleeping right now. Thanks for the donation, James.
Let's start with Hussein. Everyone thinks he's on steroids because of this transformation, which took him just 3 years to achieve. Definitely suspicious. So let's see. Most natural lifters fall somewhere between 200 and 850 nanograms per deciliter. I'm at 470 right now. Guys who enhance will often go well above 5,000. Hussein.
That's true. A lot of guys, a lot of pro bodybuilders will blast test and get up into the levels that he's talking about. That's not on.
Yeah, last blood test I had my test was at 2,220. It's probably higher now because my weekly test dose went up from 210 to 350.
Common. But again, that doesn't mean that their levels indefinitely stay in these ranges and that like they're not coming off, their natural testosterone isn't bottoming out.
Came in at 689. Julian is a whole other animal though, especially at just 19. And going into the blood test, I was honestly very skeptical about his natty status. His testosterone came back at 672, and all their other hormones were normal too. It's always possible.
So he posted that all their other hormones are normal too. He only posted the luteinizing hormone, which does not show us anything really. Why not show if he did all of their hormones, why not show their estrogen levels? Why not show their kidney values? Why not show their...
Well, that wouldn't mean anything. If you're just on test, it's not going to affect your kidneys.
Is this a biological man or a woman?
This is a woman who took steroids. Thanks for the donation, James. Yeah, testosterone isn't going to disrupt your kidney values, and if you're off testosterone, your estrogen is going to be at a normal range.
IGF-1 level.
Harry Squatter is sleeping right now.
Sus to me. Now, if there's a longer video on this that I have not seen, somebody correct me. To me, this is a very misleading video, and that, again, is my opinion.
Someone used in the past, but Julian wants to be Mr. Olympia one day, so if he really is natty now, we might look back on his physique and think maybe he just was 1 in a billion. Okay, the internet...
And I'm not taking that away from him. Maybe he is 1 in a billion. Who knows? But I am saying that, Jeff, this is not an accurate way to tell if somebody is natty or not. Now, again, I can't say whether or not these guys are natties. Either way, their physiques are incredibly impressive. Standard blood testosterone tests do not prove natty or not. Now, we're not talking about WABDA here. We're talking about standard blood testosterone tests. And I believe that is what he had in the video. He had a doctor come in.
Well, the thing is, too, you can take something like enclomiphene, which will boost your testosterone, and it won't affect your LH or FSH. And then you can come off and you're just normal. So it's, yeah, so these tests don't really prove anything. You know, they're just silly.
Now, it might sound smart, it might sound scientific, but it's completely misleading, and here's why. The timing of when you get your blood work done changes everything. Someone can be on blast 6 months ago, recover, test clean, have normal testosterone levels, and still have residual muscle, residual strength, even visual fullness from their previous use. I mean, again, I'll reference myself in the video that I made last.
Yeah, but especially if they're a dude, like, they're gonna look different. They're gonna shrink.
Standard testosterone blood work as proof of being natty is like...
Do you think you're stronger than Juji Mufu now? No, I don't think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure no. I could probably bench 410 again. But I'm pretty sure Juji benched a fair bit more than that. I was doing a workout with Alpha Destiny, and I had actually planned to bench 305 today. But Destiny put on 3 plates, so I figured I'd just, you know, use the weight he's using. And I got 8 reps, which is 1 rep shy of an all-time PR.
What is her name? Is she a BB?
Yeah, her name's Hannah Hussein. She used to do competitive bodybuilding, but she stopped. She still is like a pretty muscular chick. I think she's cute. I like her voice. Wonder if she has any nice butt pics here. Oh. Well, hello, madams. Would you mind if I were to sniff your butts? God damn. Oh my god. You know, I haven't been in public in the longest time, but I think if I went to a beach, now that I'm on steroids and far more horny, I think I'd actually have to ask if I could smell their butt. Fuck me. They're actually cute. Oh, fuck yes. Does she have an OnlyFans? Yeah, I want to sniff. I think I should, like, I guess it'll be easy now because winter's coming up. But, OnlyFans, there we go. Well,
like using a single screenshot to explain an entire movie. It tells you nothing about the full story. And here's what a lot of influencers are not telling you. Every anabolic steroid, whether it's injectable or oral, is suppressive of natural testosterone. Let me say that again. Every anabolic steroid, whether it's injectable or oral, is suppressive of natural testosterone. To understand this, you need to know the difference between endogenous and exogenous testosterone. Endogenous means that your body makes it naturally. Exogenous means that it's coming from something else like medication or injectables as we know it. And here's the thing. Standard testosterone panels cannot tell the difference. We're not talking about WABDA here. Standard testosterone panels cannot tell the difference between endogenous and exogenous testosterone. It only measures what's in your bloodstream and not where it came from. And remember how I said all steroids suppress natural testosterone? Well, that's why most, if not all, serious bodybuilders use testosterone as a base. Because if they're running compounds like Anavar, Primo, Masteron, Deca, their natural testosterone would crash. And you know what that looks like? low testosterone. Testosterone plays an important role in muscle gain, but it's not the full story. It's not just testosterone. It's the combination of androgenic activity.
What is her height and weight?
I think she's pretty short, like maybe 5'2". I don't know what her weight is though. Thanks for the donation, James.
And IGF-1 signaling that drive growth. And standard testosterone blood tests will not show androgen load. Think of it like this. The more androgens you have circulating in your bloodstream, the more muscle your body can sustain. Someone could take minimal or no testosterone, load up on hundreds, even thousands of milligrams of other compounds, and still look massive with low or normal testosterone. And then there's IGF-1, a key factor in muscle growth. When you take HGH, what you're really doing is elevating IGF-1, which drives muscle growth. So technically, somebody could take no testosterone, claim to be natural, run HGH, and still build more muscle and recover faster than they would truly naturally. And guess what? That doesn't show up on a testosterone test either. But what's more likely happening when we see influencers especially showing proof of being natural by showing their blood testosterone results is that they have either came off of super physiological levels of testosterone or they're...
Well, here's another thing. Orals are not that suppressive. Especially things like Anavar. Anavar is not all that suppressive. So if you were to just run Anavar for 8 weeks, by the end of it, you may very well likely just be in the low normal range, for tests. So like around 350, 400. So yeah, short-acting compounds, even test propionate, it's not that suppressive. And, again, there's SARMs. There's things like enclomiphene that will raise your testosterone and keep your FH and, what is it, FH? It'll keep it high. And other SARMs, too, are not that suppressive. They're short-acting, and they'll get you some gains without really suppressing your test. Do you think Mike Israel's wife is attractive? Well, she looks fine. I wouldn't see her in public and be like, oh, damn. But, she looks fine.
You're taking compounds that are not going to show up on a testosterone panel anyway. Now, I know this is a lot of information, and honestly, we've only scratched the surface. We haven't even talked about cholesterol, kidney values, C-reactive proteins, liver panels, and all the other metrics that actually matter when it comes to assessing PED use. But hopefully this gives you enough to see how misleading some influencers can be when it comes to blood work proof. And these creators know exactly what they're doing. They're not being transparent, and in my opinion, they're protecting a narrative. And that's the real issue here. The moment someone uses blood work as proof of being natty, they've already shifted from transparency to performance, in my opinion. Because if your goal is education, you'd explain the nuance. But if your goal is influence, you'll manipulate the narrative.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jeff figured since they were doing the test on pretty short notice and everything, good enough, but yeah, you can, you're not going to expect them to travel with some of their drugs, and if they're taking enclomiphene, nothing's going to show up out of the ordinary.
And that, again, in my opinion, is what it's really about, influence. A lot of these creators want to hold a moral high ground, so they weaponize science while ignoring how PEDs actually work in the real world. But those of us who have been around, we know. This industry is built on smoke and mirrors. But in all honesty, guys, you don't need to pick sides. You just need to question influencers with agendas, even when they sound smart.
Sir Frank Blaha Greg Sfarage donated $2. When I was in school, these jingles were supposed to deter kids from drugs, but were so catchy. Kids sang them nonstop.
I want to talk to you about a dangerous drug that many people say crack is smoked, and the drug reaches the brain within seconds. And what...
You know, it's funny, like, what's funny too is by the time a kid is a teenager and you tell them, you know, this is really dangerous and you could die, that probably only makes it more enticing to try it. Just because, like, again, it's just like men have more risk-taking behavior, and there's also this like weird thing where it's probably biologically inset. The hypothesis is men will deliberately do things that are unhealthy or dangerous or highly risky, knowing that it doesn't have any real, you know, benefit for them. But them being able to do these things shows that they have like robust genetics and like they can withstand, you know, certain like unhealthy behaviors like cigarette smoking, and like men are competitive and stuff, so they'll also do some of these like, you know, things like with drugs, like I can do more drugs than you. So those anti-drug PSAs were just so fucking stupid.
Look at me, busy as a bee. Where'd I get all this energy? Oh, man, man. I don't sleep and I don't eat, but I've got the cleanest house on the street. Oh, man.
I don't think crystal meth makes you clean your house.
Man. Get these hairs all out of my face. Get these bugs all out of my place. One more hit, no time to waste. Oh, man.
That is one of the stupidest fucking commercials I've ever seen, or PSAs I've ever seen in my life. Who the fuck got the idea that crystal meth, do people who work as cleaners, are they on crystal meth? Is that why they're so quick and efficient at their job and they chose cleaning as their profession?
Because intelligence without honesty is not education, it's manipulation. And that's why Auntie Hannah is here to clean this shit up. Just kidding. At the end of the day, you guys, you decide what's important to you. And if you want to be a fitness influencer or you want to step on stage, you're going to be going up against people who are using PEDs, plain and simple. I probably ruffled even more feathers, and that's okay. So there you have it, guys.
Let's look at more of her Instagram. Some sexy shit on here. God damn. I like her bottom. She has a nice bottom. Oh, damn, that's a nice bottom. Yeah, that is a nice bottom indeed. Yeah, she's cute. Kid Boo donated $2. Let me see.
I missed the beginning of the debate, so apologies if this was brought up already, Andrew. But did you name the trait? What is the trait difference that means you can own a dog and kill them at will, but you can't do that to a human? Oh, sorry, I can't actually hear you.
You're muted, Andrew.
Yeah.
Why ask me such a question when you yourself believe there is a trait if you value human life above animal life?
Well, the thing is, I value the fact that we're sentient and animals are sentient, and they're
like, it's 2 years ago. Who cares? Thanks for the donation, Kid Boo. Yeah, I like her derriere. She got a cute butt. If she agreed to have sex with you on the condition that see records for OnlyFans, would you do it? Well, yeah. I'm fine with that. Yeah, I like the butt shots. She has a very fucking thick calves. Damn. I love these one-piece leotards. Yeah, they're fucking great. Look up Shanvalier Fitness. Yeah, I've seen her before. She's not quite my type, but you know, she's all right. She's cute. She's just not really my type. Yeah, somebody's shown me her before.
What's up, dude? Speaking of drugs, have you seen this? Also, what type of HGH is good for injury repair? Thoughts on CJC 1295 DAC? I recovered from food poisoning, thanks for asking. It was due to bad electrolytes.
There's only one type of HGH. It's just the 191 amino acid. So literally only one type of HGH. I've never used CJC DAC. I've never used it, and I haven't really looked into it. Recovering from food poisoning. Well, if you have like stomach issues, like you'd want to use oral BPC. Food poisoning from bad electrolytes.
DARE anti-drug programs. Remember those? Remember DARE from school? Y'all remember DARE? Cop will come to your school.
Okay, this 40 minutes. Maybe we'll watch that next. Thanks for the donation, though. Less is more. That'd be hot if she does some good girl stuff for OnlyFans. Yeah, she's cute. I approve. Oh, shit. She... Oh, hey, Velma. Some good Velma cosplay. Yeah, chicks who use steroids are pretty hot. Kid Boo donated $2.
Nobody wants to talk about this.
It seems like you're worried about who is controlling the vote, essentially, and the propaganda.
Yeah.
How is that connected to universal suffrage, though?
Without universal suffrage, if you had a much smaller voting pool, this didn't really work. Once you have this huge voting block, everybody gets to vote. Every person out there, whether they know about the issues, whether they understand how the government works, they could be completely ignorant, they still get to vote. What this creates is an electorate that can be easily propagandized. So it just becomes a popularity contest. So like famously, John F. Kennedy was elected not necessarily because he had the best campaign or the best ideas, but because he participated in one of the first televised debates. And Richard Nixon looked very sweaty and very nervous. He wasn't as attractive. He wasn't as good looking. John F. Kennedy's younger. He's good looking. He's tan. So now what most people vote on is just, oh, I think this guy's mean. So it becomes not about the ideas and not about who's most qualified to govern. It becomes a pop culture thing.
Yeah. Like, I think everybody would agree that only competent people should be allowed to vote. The issue is how the fuck do you set up a system to test competency? There's so many political issues that, and just practical issues that arise from it. And historically, those sorts of things have been used to discriminate against people. So, but yeah, I certainly agree. Ideally, you would have a system to establish competency with voting. Is Clarence Kennedy eating what you eat, or does he cook on his own? He basically eats what I'm eating.
Open up a briefcase of drugs. They try to scare kids away from drugs by sending cops into schools. You guys remember that? You remember how bad this program was?
This is the 2001 Board of Directors for the DARE program. Before I show you who's on it, I want you to ask yourself, who would you want running DARE? Maybe social scientists or educators. These people are going to wield the power of the police and shape how millions of children view drugs.
No, standard IQ test would not be good enough.
Drugs, crimes, and their own body. All right. Ready? If you said 4 billionaires, 18 multimillionaires, their lawyers, 3 cops, one of whom is a convicted felon, 2 who are involved in corruption scandals, their friends, the NFL player who's at the center of RFK's assassination conspiracy theories, a boxer who reportedly uses steroids, 2 people on the Epstein list, and this guy who, after the FBI did an undercover sting, caught him trying to launder money to cover up a cocaine trafficking operation. If you said that, then you'd be right.
The DARE program it's nonsense. I mean, we can be honest about it.
By 1995, DARE, or Drug Abuse Resistance Education, was in 75% of all American school districts. They sent thousands of police officers into tens of thousands of elementary schools to teach 10-year-olds to say no to drugs. It was backed by presidents.
People like these DARE officers are making a real impression.
Celebrities.
Little kids doing drugs.
It even got its own national holiday. 114 million Americans went through DARE. That's 34% of the entire population.
What we were talking about are the consequences for using marijuana and not using marijuana.
I just want to shake some sense into you kids that are using drugs and thinking about using.
Are you into true crime? And if so, do you prefer mass shooters or serial killers? Well, serial killers. Mass shooters are just losers. Kid Boo, donate $2. Let me see.
Smells like my size. Tight, squishy, and most likely well.
Great. It's kind of annoying. I don't know how you can live that way.
4 types of men who pay women to sleep with them. And I've been with them all because I was a provider of that very service for 6 years. None of these 4 types of men are what the stereotypes suggest. Let me share them with you. Number 1, men who fear rejection. These are men who crave connection, but they feel too anxious, too unworthy, or too socially inexperienced to risk being turned down. For them, paying isn't about entitlement, it's about safety. A guarantee that someone will say yes without fear of humiliation. Number 2, men who lack intimacy, physically and emotionally. Plenty of my clients were married, but over time, the intimacy in their relationships dried up. Sometimes they hadn't been
Sir Firebug Asian Beetlemeyer donated $2. Those who haven't seen this will find it funny. You can start at 1:30. Oh yeah, I'll watch that. Thanks for the donation, dude.
touched in years.
Okay, this video is just fucking boring. Thanks for the donation, Kid Boo. Yeah, that's
For sure.
That's very, very strange. I took another edible tonight and I'm high now. Pretty high. Hey, Gummy. Hey. There's my baby. There's my gum. Mycosperm donatillers, liberals often say IQ tests are racist. Is there validity to this? Also, who's more annoying, Dodo or Kid Boo? Definitely Kid Boo. There's definitely cultural bias in IQ tests. There is no racial bias. That would be impossible. But there is certainly cultural bias in IQ testing. They're also just not very good tests for testing intelligence. I think what you'll really find with IQ tests is they're good for picking out retards. So if you're mentally disabled, I think they're good for testing that. And I think they're good for testing more specific kind of skills. So, oh, you're really good at math. You're really good at memorizing things. They're not actually going to really test your critical thinking skills, though, which I think is the main thing people really consider when it comes to IQ. And, yeah. So, like, I've known people who've scored extremely high in IQ tests. They're some of the dumbest motherfuckers I've ever come across. I remember there was a kid in my elementary school who was in a gifted program. He scored like super fucking high IQ. I think it was like, high 130s, and he wouldn't stop talking about dicks. Just constantly, every fucking conversation. Like, he'd have dick or cock in every fucking sentence. I'm not even kidding. And he'd draw dicks all the time. This kid was just fucking obsessed with dicks. And, like, my friend group, we swore all the time and shit and, shared nasty jokes and all that, but we were so fed up with him talking about dicks. It was, weird. And we were getting uncomfortable, and, we literally told him, can you stop fucking talking about dicks? So, thanks for the donation, though, Mycosperm.
So remember, don't.
And then, we found out that it didn't work.
Cheers.
Cheers. A while back, Mia and I were talking about the DARE program.
Because genuinely, what the fuck?
Specifically, how bad its failure was. Some studies, like this one, found that DARE students were more likely than non-DARE students to experiment with drugs.
Yeah. Oh. Hey, Gummy. Got a cat here. Do you guys see this cat? I think you could see his cat butt. This is a good cat butt. Cat butt, cat butt, cat butt. Oh, gum. That's nice. Oh, that's really nice. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This cat is so nice. Oh, he's so soft. Dude, it's crazy how soft Gummy is. He is just so beautiful. He doesn't have these like crazy intricate patterns or anything like a leopard, but his beauty is just, it just seems so simple and elegant and pure. Just like this beautiful shade of brown, these very wonderful black stripes that just form such a nice, pleasant pattern. And the white accents on his face and tummy and paws. Just a beautiful, simple, elegant cat. And he has such a handsome cat face. Not only is he just cute and adorable, but he's handsome at the same time. Truly a beautiful cat. He is just so handsome and wonderful. Oh my God. Sir Richard is Highmeyer donated $2. Let me see.
I got my shots. I got polio shot, hepatitis A, hepatitis B. I got my malaria medicine. I got motherfucking ass typhoid fucking shot. I got a yellow fever shot. I got a motherfucking ass tetanus shot. I got it all, dude. I got like 8 shots in one day. My arms were like fucked. I couldn't even move them afterward, but totally worth it. Yeah, where do you even get hepatitis C? I probably have AIDS.
Yeah, they'll have an AIDS vaccine soon. Or, like, treatment. Kind of like syphilis. Thanks for the donation, Sir Richard is Highmeyer.
Drugs. Whoops.
How did that happen?
And then Mia had a question.
Everyone knows about DARE. Everyone knows that it failed. But what I'm missing is, like, did they not test that it worked? Like, the people that made it?
For years, DARE has been laughed at.
Just say
Now to crack!
Trendy, goofy teens wear their t-shirt around to mock its demise. We all came up with our own theories as to why DARE didn't work. We kind of dismissed it as yet another failed government program. And we never properly investigated the private corporation, a non-profit that often doesn't act like one.
There should be an organization called DARED, or DARD, D-A-R-D. Do all recreational drugs, and it's the opposite of DARE. And it tries to get kids to do all the drugs.
That somehow was able to get a dysfunctional drug program and police officers into your school and mine. This video was supposed to be a nostalgic explainer of America's biggest accident, but over the past 4 months, we've been combing through thousands of documents, interviewing cops, historians, journalists, and discovered that behind this program is a buried story, using high-powered lawyers, attacking journalists and researchers when they tried to bring the truth to light. The people at DARE ruined careers to protect themselves. I want to show you all of this, because when you look at the people who were behind the program, you start to see what DARE was really all about.
I will say no to harmful drugs. I will put my friends say no. I will pledge to stand up for what I know is right.
And then 12-year-old kids were like, okay, crack sounds fun.
And then all the kids would be like, now I want drugs.
Clandestine meeting in the Mojave Desert, illegal guns being sent to the Contras by the CIA.
They did studies that showed that it's actually ineffective, in some cases actually harmful.
The story that's told is that DARE had good intentions, that they built a program that they thought would work, and it just didn't. However, I quickly learned there's a lot more to that story. After talking with Mia, I went out and picked up this book. It was written by a professor of history at Ball State University, and it's phenomenal. But there's one part that left me with way more questions than answers. So I reached out. In 1983, a group of researchers affiliated with USC just wrapped up a meeting with the Los Angeles School Board.
It's not like they didn't have drug prevention efforts going on. The LA Unified School District actually had been piloting a program called Project SMART.
The researchers in charge of Project SMART were leaving a school board meeting when a man approaches them.
Actually approach the Project SMART researchers.
His name was Daryl Gates.
And Gates is kind of like, well, what if we can take the Project SMART and just have the police teach it?
Having serious objections to police involvement, they said no. But according to one of Gates's right-hand men,
if you told Gates that he was wrong, he would crush you.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that? Because 114 million kids went through this program. So what do you mean he'll crush you? What do you mean by that?
This idea of like, if only they had known, does not apply.
They fucking knew? Did they know?
So the SMART researchers agreed to share their findings. They had been testing 2 different approaches. One of them they found didn't work.
And they said, we found that this affective component wasn't working. We've dropped it. We don't use that anymore because we found that it was not having the right effects.
These researchers had found that it made kids more likely to do drugs.
Before it launched.
And that's what they told him.
The other side of it, what they called peer resistance training, was more effective.
It has to be a money scheme, like a money issue. So they wanted to run this expensive program so that they could just get themselves more money. Just typical corruption type shit.
What ends up happening, there's no real documentation of why this occurred, is that they kept the affective education component in.
So the part that they knew didn't work.
DARE kept that piece in.
What do you take from that? Is this just a PR stunt? Or do you think there might be other stuff going on behind the scenes?
Well, with Gates, there's always other stuff going on.
This is drugs. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions?
No, this is drugs. And this is your brain on drugs. Oh yeah. Oh, that's good cat smell. Cat is drugs.
Max's book is a phenomenal breakdown of DARE's expansion, its impacts on culture, policing, the nuances of the hundreds of studies that went into DARE. But I want to show you a completely different angle.
Yeah. All right. That's right. Oh, no.
Okay, so I talked to this guy. He's a former cop, and he was there. Like, he worked directly under the founder of DARE when and where it was created.
Okay.
And I think the problem is that we all just kind of assumed that DARE's failure was a big mistake. Let me just show you what he said.
Why are we doing this program? Because
I don't know who Michael Cera is.
that's what most people thought. So why are we doing this?
Wait, tell me more about that.
They just thought it was a ridiculous idea. Most people within the departments, everybody said it's not going to work.
What? Okay.
Marijuana. Oh, is it good?
When one of the SMART researchers learned that DARE was using the effective approach, he reached out to try to help fix it. But DARE was never interested, speculating that DARE had other motives. DARE didn't need fixing. What it needed was money and friends in high places. Though not technically true, the point still stands. Another SMART researcher put it
Yeah, it's clearly just a money-making thing.
bluntly. DARE had never talked to a scientist until it got into some trouble in 1993. When DARE was already in 52% of school districts, making the question, if their goal wasn't efficacy, what was it?
It is truly my great pleasure to welcome DARE to NASDAQ.
It's June 4th, 1968. A 15-year-old boy walks into the Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles. He's there on an assignment for his high school newspaper. U.S. Senator Robert F. Kennedy is in town, and he's giving a speech at the hotel. The boy's assignment is to take photos of it.
Thanks to all of you, and now it's on to Chicago, and let's win there.
Following the speech, the 15-year-old is following the senator around, snapping photos, when
Senator Kennedy had been shot. He's been shot? That's right.
a former NFL player named Rosie Greer subdued Sirhan Sirhan, who we now know as the assassin of Robert Kennedy. Realizing that Kennedy had just been shot, the high school photographer starts taking photos of everything he can. Then, the LAPD appears. The boy is detained. All his photos, 3 entire rolls of film, are taken from him. 2 months later, the LAPD secretly burns 2,410 photos taken during the investigation. In time, they also destroy ceiling panels with bullet holes in them, x-rays of those ceiling panels, and spectrographic analyses of the bullets. Why would you do that? It's all quite suspicious. During this time, a young officer at the LAPD is climbing the ranks. His name is Daryl Gates, and he was just...
Saw some pretty old Urals on eBay and watched your video from a year ago, changing the tire. Did you have to change it yesterday or the passenger tire? The rear tire on those bikes wears out super quickly. So you have to change the rear tires pretty often, like, especially with the Duro tires they usually come with. I'd say basically every oil change. Like maybe you'll get an extra 1K out of the tire, but basically every oil change with the Duro tires, you have to swap them out. The Hyde now are more durable, and you might be able to get past 2 oil changes before swapping them. But yeah, the Hyde now tire that I had in the rear, it's just about to go bald. It's already slipping more when I'm cornering. And with like clearance adding weight to the bike and us doing like some longer distance riding, I didn't want to ride with that tire because while I'm riding, it might go completely bald. So yeah, I had to swap the rear tire yesterday. You have a spare tire on the rack, and it's just a normal tire. It's not like a car spare tire. So I just swapped the spare. That tire change wasn't as bad. The axle wasn't stuck like it was before, but it still took a little bit of work, you know.
Just in charge of the intelligence division, but got a promotion to be assistant chief.
He was a narcissist, and his ego was beyond belief.
Gates is about to build an infamous reputation.
A man who Pulitzer Prize winning journalists have called egomaniacal and paranoid. He is responsible for the creation of the SWAT team.
Oh.
And commits a move.
I can guarantee you would rather have a world with SWAT teams rather than not with SWAT teams. Especially once the Muslim invasion gets into full swing. They don't make Pirelli tires for the Ural. It takes 19-inch off-road tires. So Pirelli doesn't make anything for the Ural, and it's a specific type of tire. It's a sidecar tire. Yeah, Duro, Heidenau, and Kenda, as far as I know, are the only ones that make tires for that are like compatible with the Ural.
That will change policing forever. A brutal, unprovoked raid on the Black Panthers. Meanwhile, the intelligence division that Gates oversaw breaks off into 2 different...
What do you think of the new Honda Shadow Phantom? Honda Shadows are definitely a good first bike. I've seen the new Shadows. I don't think I've seen the Phantom. Oh no, I've seen it, yeah. These are really nice bikes. They've always have been extremely reliable. Yeah, it's technically a cruiser, I guess, but it's like a standard. So the riding position's really comfortable, easy, and it doesn't have enough power where you can accidentally wheelie. So it certainly is a good first bike if this is the type of bike you want to ride. I was thinking of actually getting a cruiser at some point, because I do like cruisers. First Cabbage donated $2. AOC and Bernie Sanders with Zoran Mamdani today.
I didn't listen to food noise. I just wake up.
That's great. Son Goku donated $2. Women often claim they want a man who is emotionally intelligent, but the term sounds pseudoscientific to me. It's probably no different than astrology. There's no such thing as emotional intelligence. It's just some stupid made-up term so dumbass fucking cunts wouldn't have to call somebody retarded. But yeah, there's no such thing as emotional intelligence. It's just stupid. Thanks for the donation, Son Goku. Instant Karma donated $2. Did you see this?
Ride your bike, you fucking fag! Go get a job! Yeah. Loser! Fucking loser! Get out of here, dude! What are you doing? Get out!
I think that might be an overreaction to bigoted old man, but thanks for the donation, Instant Karma. Sir William something Meyer donated $2. Here's something to get the new Monster Bad Apple flavor. Thanks for answering my question. I don't know if I can find that. I've tried the Monster Green Apple. I actually like that. I don't know if I can find that flavor, though. I think the States has different flavors. Thanks for the donation, though, Sir William something Meyer.
Categories: the Organized Crime Intelligence Division, or OCID, and the Public Disorder Intelligence Division, or PDID. Almost immediately, the PDID neglects its mission to serve public disorder and focuses on the real enemy. Building dossiers on journalists, labor unions, civil rights groups, public servants, anti-war activists, and the mayor, of course.
This paranoia that the LAPD had under Daryl Gates extended way beyond the city of LA. He had officers undercover all around the world.
I know this guy sounds like a conspiracy theorist, but he's actually a Pulitzer Prize-winning investigative journalist. Check yourself.
Part of what you were revealing, he had like hundreds of people, right?
He had, we don't know how many he had.
We're not talking FBI. This
talking
is
about LAPD.
LAPD, a local municipal police force, hundreds of agents undercover, and some of them internationally.
Hundreds of agents in the unit that supervised the undercover officers.
Soon.
That is fucking weird. Oh. Guys, look at my gum. This is what you call a good kitty. You're so good. I love you, Gum. I hope you know that. I hope you know that I just love you. And that you're a sweet, wonderful person. I just try to do the best for you. I love and care for you. You're just so nice, and I hope you know that I love you. I've got to get up. I'm going to take a piss, get a drink, and probably get some more food. Clarence and Elf Destiny and I went to get some Chinese. Oh. Biting. That's a good baby. I gotta get up. Gum Gum. Oh. Oh, Gum Gum is just... He is peak cat. Did I not bring my Crocs down? Ugh. That's weird. Okay, I will be right back. Oh. Oh. Oh, you know what? Life is just so great, you know? We got steroids, vegan Chinese food, and cats. Like, that's all you need to be happy. Life is just so simple and so wonderful when you just simplify things to steroids, cats, and vegan Chinese food. Sir Pill Bugmeyer donated $2. The way JD Vance can stare into your soul. Yeah. I've seen that. JD Vance is a weirdo. Thanks for the donation, dude.
The Nostalgia chick is defending Mrs. Rachel.
Who is Mrs. Rachel?
Let me just make a caveat here that I'm not going to... One word.
Who is Miss Rachel? I have no idea who the fuck that is. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
The PDID starts to get in trouble. They got caught running covert intelligence missions by sending undercover officers into schools, not to investigate a crime, but instead to build political dossiers, signifying that the LAPD and Daryl Gates are becoming increasingly obsessed with power. And it's working. Legions of police officers are starting to look towards Daryl Gates for their next move.
Watergate. The White House called it a third-rate burglary, but it escalated into the worst political scandal in American history.
I shall resign the presidency effective at noon tomorrow.
In the wake of the Watergate scandal, America started to wake up. The government wasn't just watching its enemies anymore, it was watching everyone. The FBI ran COINTELPRO, and the CIA was doing the same through Operation MH Chaos. Local, state, and federal agencies all got in on it. So cities, states, Congress started pushing back, passing laws like this one. These laws say, if you're spying on someone, if there's no crime committed, you have to delete the file. Around this same time, they expanded the Freedom of Information Act. And this guy, a congressman from New York, wants answers. He wants to know what really happened to Robert F. Kennedy. So he looks at LA and starts asking questions. A memo makes its way up the chain of command to Daryl Gates, responding point by point to the representative's questions. A key photograph taken during the investigation of the assassination was kept secret by Los Angeles police, who feared it might contradict official statements. The existence of this photograph is believed to be unknown by anyone outside of this department, and that the LAPD deliberately kept this a secret. Soon after, the California Supreme Court comes down on the LAPD, saying, you can't send undercover cops into schools if there's no crime. You can't do this. Then, the LA Board of Police Commissioners orders Daryl Gates's precious...
You know this woman.
Friends, it's Miss Rachel. I have someone real.
Oh, she was supporting the stupid Palestinian bullshit. Yeah, fuck that stupid chick. Thanks for the donation, Dodo. What do you think about the Aprilia RSV4? Thinking about getting my first bike. First of all, I don't like Aprilias. I think they look ugly, and they're also very unreliable, and they're not really any better than other manufacturers. So I wouldn't get an Aprilia as your first bike, especially considering how unreliable they are. I don't like the way they look. A lot of people do. I really don't. I think they look like shit, honestly. But, yeah, that would be my opinion. I wouldn't get an RSV4 for your first bike. I just don't like Aprilias, period. But you can get something with comparable specs from another manufacturer for about the same price, if not cheaper, and it'll look better and be more reliable. Crime King, donate $2. Will this cure my lower back issues? I wonder if these people do, in fact, end up having horrible back issues from doing this. This is bizarre that this drug does this. Thanks for the donation, Crime King.
PDID to destroy 1.9 million dossiers. The world that Gates built of power, secrecy, and surveillance is officially under threat. Gates' chief gets summoned to DC. The Senate Intelligence Committee wants names. Everyone that's spying for the LAPD. The chief waged a war. His response was a clear declaration that the LAPD was going rogue. It will be a cold day in hell when I provide you with the information you've requested. Back in LA, one of the PDID spies gets a quiet order. We're not going to destroy the records. We want you to
Now,
hide
as
them.
I was saying, the nostalgia chick is defending Mrs. Rachel.
Or anything. Oh, you share mine.
There's no defending this chick. She was covertly trying to spread anti-Semitic propaganda, and she's just a fucking... It's just an influencer, attention whore fucking idiot. Thanks for the donation, though, Dodo. Dude, do you think the 2015 RSV4 looks good compared to how they look now? They went backwards. Yeah, they actually looked better, but they still didn't look good. Yeah, they're still pretty ugly. I don't know why so many people like Aprilias. The amount of catastrophic failures I've seen them have is just crazy. And I mean, so many, like, they don't even have that much power, a lot of them. So I don't know how they manage.
3 years later, Daryl Gates is promoted to chief, inheriting total control of a rogue, loyal, militarized force with an elite spy network. Daryl Gates is then blessed with a gift, directly from the CIA gods themselves. These new laws didn't say that spying was illegal. They just said that if no crime was committed, you shall maintain no record. Representative Larry McDonald, chair of the right-wing advocacy group known for its conspiracy theories, teams up with his buddies to create the Western Goals Foundation, a domestic intelligence agency.
Those guys came up with the idea of setting up this company to do what the FBI couldn't do.
There is one thing that these new
Agreed
laws...
VG, the people who work or used to at Channel Awesome are such morons.
Yeah, they are. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
Cannot regulate. Of course, private businesses. The LAPD funnels its hidden records to the ultra-conservative mini deep state.
He got the files from PDID.
And ramps up.
200 groups were infiltrated over the course of a couple of years.
Spies are sent to the city council, journalists, academics, the ACLU, celebrities, LGBTQ activists, labor unions, and the political left.
And those were being provided to Western Goals.
We were told at one time that there were no undercover agents in this chamber, and in fact there was an undercover agent. You've had officers infiltrating peaceful organizations, law-abiding organizations, infiltrating this council chamber, reporting on what councilmen have said, reporting on roll calls of councilmen, and you're telling me that you're proud of the efforts that have been made?
You seem to know a great deal for a statement that says you don't know anything. Now, what is it? Do you know everything, or do you don't know everything?
Yes, Mr. Bernardi, I believe so.
We'd come to work and there'd be a helicopter over our building, right? They'd be monitoring us, coming and going and everything. And, we'd stand there like going like this at the helicopter.
Journalist Dave Lindorf was a target for the PDID.
The helicopter would follow me at night. One time they followed me all the way home. They were shining their light on me.
Dave and 143 others sue Daryl Gates. Backed by the ACLU, things get hot. Gates strikes back, winning a totally separate case against the ACLU. Undercover cops can operate in schools as long as they're targeting drug dealers. The ACLU plans to appeal. All they have to do is prove one thing: that Gates will abuse that power. So the ACLU focuses their attention on the PDID case. The city attorney representing Gates opens an unlocked file cabinet. He runs to the press, calling PDID a clandestine band of zealots who abuse every single moral and ethical precept. The judge says they're going to order the police to release the files. But before they do, the news breaks. Gates has been funneling intelligence to Western Goals. It's fully public. People are seeing this, they're hearing this. It is a huge deal. This is not good for Gates.
They weren't overly concerned until the ACLU got in the PDID.
The ACLU starts closing in.
We started what's called the Purge, destroying tens of thousands of documents. We had 2 commercial shredders. We burned 2 of them up. They knew they were going to lose this lawsuit.
Gates runs to the school board and pitches an idea: drug education, taught by police, not for one class, but have them stay there.
When it came to spying, he had no rules.
School district is like, you are nuts. A program cannot be developed overnight. Gates approaches smart researchers saying, use my cops for your program. They say, no.
They would send their files on leftist groups to Western Goals, and then Western Goals would make them accessible to the FBI.
Western Goals gets added as a defendant right as soon as they entered the Iran-Contra funding network by funding rebels in Nicaragua with the CIA. The founder of Western Goals gets on a plane to South Korea. Soviet fighters approach, shoot the plane down. He dies. The ACLU goes on the offense. The CIA notices that all of this is happening. LAPD, MH Chaos type activities, ACLU legal action. The CIA sends 2 agents to LA, and Gates sends 10 cops to 50 elementary schools, the official launch of DARE.
And that's when the city settled.
Wow.
Daryl Gates loved spying, but so does the internet, which is why I use Surfshark, the sponsor of this video. With Surfshark VPN,
I got that stuff I was telling you about.
No!
Dodo, don't need chillers. Here's a new thumbnail for you, VG. Also, when are you gonna get the vids I sent you? They're good. Yes, that's nice. I will save that. We'll get to them after this. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
Sometimes the best answer is the simplest way. You have the power. Just say no to drugs.
What the fuck?
years passed by, DARE slowly grew, but there was one problem. Money. Police can't take money from any person who's engaged in business for gain. But if those same officers go out and start a private nonprofit, then now it's not the LAPD asking, it's a private charity. Then that private nonprofit can take the money and pass it off to the police department. Totally passes the sniff test. Like, it's totally above board. Super happy that things work this way. God. Today, this is actually totally normal. They're called police foundations.
I'm eating vegan tofu balls. They're like vegan chicken balls. W, no need $2. If you're high, at least watch this.
Come on, you ugly son of a gun. Not today, friend.
Smooth ride for a war zone.
Captain Presley, welcome to Camp Arroyo.
Dylan, you son of a jukebox. Elvis, still strumming up trouble, huh?
You can hear that jungle singing to us, man. Something out there thinks it's the king of the world. Let's go change its mind.
Lord have mercy. Who'd do this to a guitar?
Come on, you ugly son of a gun. Move! Get to the river!
Treading through the green where the sunlight hides. Hear the heartbeat of the jungle keeping time. Brothers on my side, we ain't alone tonight.
We ain't alone
tonight.
Keep your eyes sharp, boys. Something out here ain't from any army I know.
You still think it's one man, Cap?
Man doesn't leave tracks like that. Whatever it is, it's hunting us, and it knows this jungle better than we do.
Gives me the chills, sir.
Stay cool.
I saw it out there between the trees. It wasn't like anything human.
Well, keep it quiet. Something's watching us. Hey, is that the guy from Bloodsport?
Keep that tree line lit up. Don't give it an inch. Copy that, King. Reloading.
Low ground, cloak predator.
I hear you, friend.
Wherever you are.
Come on, big fella, try me. Take this.
You picked the wrong night to hunt, friend. I'm still standing, and I don't quit easy.
Come on, sweetheart. Gotcha. Jungle's mine now.
Yeah, that's weird. Thanks for the donation, W.
And if you've never heard of it, according to policefoundations.org, that's the point. These police foundations can't legally imply that any donor will be able to influence official actions or get anything in return, but there's low transparency. Critics call these dark money slush funds. The LAPD creates one called the CPAC, which turns into DARE California, and then, in turn, DARE America. They throw some fundraisers, inviting who critics would call dark.
Kid Boo, don't need $2. Let me see.
So we got to talk about Gen Alpha in the classroom once again. And let me start by saying this isn't All of Gen Alpha, but a decent chunk, which has teachers second-guessing their career decisions all entirely. In this video, we'll review real opinions and stories from teachers and analyze why Gen Alpha is causing all sorts of mayhem in U.S. classrooms. It's frustrating teachers, it's having them worried. Gen Alpha's having trouble reading, writing, and ultimately focusing on class, and they really just don't want to learn. We're going to discuss what this all means and what it means for the future of education and the future of Gen Alpha. Now, we made many videos on this discussing how Gen Alpha is destroying Chromebooks, property, and not putting any effort in class. But as we enter the new school year, teachers on social media are showcasing how difficult it can be to teach in Gen Alpha classroom. Things have gotten so bad that some kindergarten teachers are reporting how parents are now expecting teachers to potty train their kids and, well, have teachers go through all that crap.
I just saw a video of this lady who was upset that teachers are not helping with potty training kindergartners. Oh man, all right, here we go. As a kindergarten teacher, it is not my job to potty train your child. I'm so sorry. It is not my job. That is not what I signed up for. That is not in the contract. That is definitely your job as a parent to try and potty train your child. So I don't know if it's the state of California, but I know for sure in my district, you don't have to be potty trained, unfortunately, to go to kindergarten. So when a child shows up to school in a diaper and, you know, the diaper is full, or they even, you know, number 2 in the diaper, I do have to just send them to the nurse. The nurse has to make a
Who in the fuck are these parents? Where their kids don't know how to use a toilet by the time they're in kindergarten.
phone call. And of course, either the family takes the child home or they just bring them in another diaper. If a child is not potty trained and they do, you know, on themselves without a diaper, nobody can change it for them, even the nurse. So if a child does not know how to change themselves, then they have to just get sent home, or, you know, they call the parents. One of the many jobs I had before I became a kindergarten teacher was a daycare assistant. And during that time, I wasn't necessarily potty training kids, but we were with toddlers, obviously, who were in the process of potty training. So that was a case where it was normal for me to try to get a child to sit on the toilet, you know, changing diapers. That was all.
Good God, stuff like this makes me fear for the future of our species.
Yeah, it's not looking good. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
All part of the job. But now I am an educator. I'm a teacher. I'm here to educate. I'm here to teach. I am not here to change diapers. I'm not here to teach your child how to put on their pants. My job is to teach phonics, letters, sounds, words, math, reading, writing. As teachers, we have a whole other list of things in curriculum that we have to get through before the year ends. And potty training is not one of them. And I believe one of the comments the original video said, or maybe comments in her video, was like, oh, people don't want to be a village anymore. As teachers, we are part of the village. We are part of the village that helps educate. And again, potty training is not on that list.
Exactly. It's not the teacher's responsibility to have to worry about poopy diapers. They are teachers, and these kids are in their developmental years where math, reading, and writing are paramount to their foundation. We wonder
I have friends that don't teach their toddler anything and blame it on autism, but they don't even try. Sounds about right.
Why Gen Alpha has reported historically low reading and writing rates. Well, perhaps it's because stories like this keep on emerging. And yeah, it's super weird, super gross to be sending your kid in diapers to school. 5 to 6 years old? Are you kidding me? I mean, there are probably plenty of situations where this is justified, but I'd put money that that story is not one of them. How in the world are parents going to send their kids to school?
Sir Pill Bugmeyer donated $2. I finally wrote a Stark Varg, and it was crazy how much power and torque it has. I've ridden Avery Brand's 450 and a KTM 525 as well, as did a lap on highly modified 450. That belongs to a pro motocross rider. None of them came close to the power of Stark. Yeah. Well, electric motors just absolutely smoke gas motors, especially with torque. The only problem, especially with bikes, is they still haven't made the energy density on the packs quite high enough. But yeah, the Stark Varg is a serious machine. I'm thinking of getting one. Thanks for the donation, though, Sir Pill Bugmeyer.
Without knowing how to sit on a toilet. Are you kidding me? It's insane, just insane. So yeah, this probably leads us to a key point. Parents are not taking responsibility or ownership on their kids' education. Keep in mind that these new parents are now probably older Gen Z to millennials. So many of them might have brain rot themselves, scrolling on TikTok, watching hours of Netflix content, or gaming for hours, while their kid is still pooing in their diapers, not getting the proper parental guidance to function in a sanitary society. One of the top comments on that video read, not having your 5 to 6 year old potty trained should be considered neglect, unless there is a diagnosed medical or developmental issue with with the child. Honestly, yeah, that's a good take. And yeah, it's really sad for these kids that are involved in these sort of situations. Their development is getting stunted. At the same time, while they get older, the problems could get worse in the form of discipline issues or, then bother teaching their kid how to potty train. Like I just said, once the kid...
In order to get their children to where they need to be in terms of literacy. I'm a 7th grade.
At this point I don't even care if an asteroid hits Earth tomorrow and wipes out our worthless species out.
Yeah. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
Great teacher. A lot of my students read very well below grade level. And so I need help from other parents to help work with their kids outside of school to reinforce the things that I'm teaching in school. Y'all would have thought that I told somebody to climb Mount Everest in the middle of winter during an avalanche with an anvil strapped on their back. I got so many people making videos blaming people like me for why their kids can't read. I got somebody even threatened my life because I said that. Because something as small as reading to your child for 30 minutes a day is so insurmountable you can't do it. But you'll be on your TikTok for 30 minutes a day. And like, I understand it can be hard, right? I can understand that y'all got multiple jobs and y'all doing all this stuff here. I get it. I get it. My mom was a single parent and she was raising 2 kids and she was going to college and everything at the same time. However, she had to do it because the reality of the situation, this is what it is. You can point fingers and blame who you want, but the reality is these children cannot read on grade level. And we are having to dumb down curriculum to get these kids to where they need to be, and they're not getting there. This is not a me problem. This is not a you problem. This is a systemic issue, and we cannot fix it if we're blaming each other and not helping each other. Baby, this is the curriculum. This is what we have to teach. It would behoove you, for your child's sake, to work with the teacher to get your child to that level. If your child has a reading disability, girl, you can get an IEP, you can get a 504. We can figure something out to help your child. I just spent $70 getting a book set for some kids because I think that they would like to read this book better than reading the stupid books that we have to read in the classes that they're not going to gain anything from, right? But nothing is going to change. Nothing is going to change as long as we sit here pointing the finger and not actually dealing with the issue. These kids can't read. Let's teach our children how to read. These kids can't do math. Let's teach these kids to do math. If you don't understand how to read it, if you don't understand something, you can email the teachers and y'all can work together. It is a team. It takes a village to raise these babies. As long as y'all keep being hyper independent, nothing is going to change. I promise you. And I'm not the only one saying this. There are thousands, if not millions of teachers across this country who are saying the same damn thing. Help the teachers that are here. They're trying to help you and society. And like, I know a lot of people out here banning books and everything. I live in Florida too. But I'm like, baby, what's the point of banning a book that the children aren't going to read in the first place? You can ban the book. They can't read it. What if, go with me, we just focus on getting them to read. Then you can monitor what they're reading. I don't even care. Can they read? Can they read? Can they read?
And yeah, he said that perfectly. Let me start by saying how amazing of a teacher this man was. He went out of his way to spend...
Yeah, most of the school books I read were trash. The best book I read in school would have to have been To Kill a Mockingbird. You obviously have Shakespeare. Some Shakespeare plays I actually like. It's just, some of them are very culturally irrelevant. And, like, it's Shakespeare, so it's kind of gay. But yeah, pretty much all the books they make you read in school are just trash.
Spent around $70 on books for his classroom. And what does it say about the teaching landscape that so many teachers like him have to pay out of their own pocket to supply their own classrooms with the resources that their students need? I like how he broke it down very simply. It literally just takes 30 minutes out of their day for a parent to read with their child so they can obtain reading proficiency. Like he said, if the student needed extra help or had a form of a disability of any kind, the school will have the resources for them. But the parents, they have to put in the work. And if things don't go right, the parents will then blame the teacher for the outcomes. Many of these young parents could literally teach their kid how to read. Instead, the parents are so busy scrolling on TikTok for hours. Is it me, or scrolling on TikTok while being a parent for hours while your kid is struggling? It's just so cringe. It's just, really? Like, adult parents, please grow up for the sake of your child. There's so many stories out there that mimic this teachers, where they just feel like nothing's gonna happen. Like they feel almost like a sense of defeat, whether a child struggles or thrives in school. It's classroom chaos. It's an entire generation that could struggle to function in a workplace that requires reading contacts and has fallen.
This to me stands above the low teacher pay. It stands above the low bathroom breaks. I think it even stands above state testing. And it happened today in my classes. It's absolutely busting your butt for an assignment, thinking that it's gonna kill for the students and the students ruin it. I'm not talking about like a worksheet and the kids didn't enjoy the worksheet. I'm talking about like an activity, a whole lesson where all they gotta do is participate and try their best, and they can't do that. Like, I don't think these kids realize how discouraging it is. Like, I could easily go to AI.
Mahmoud Al-Dora. Money. They throw this fundraiser gala for DARE. The dinner chair of the gala, which, like, whatever, I don't fucking know what that means, is a luxury goods and jewelry mogul, and he lands a seat on Dare America's board of directors. A banker shows up, a developer shows up, they make the board too, an attorney attends, her son is suddenly on the board. The whole event, netting Dare more than $760,000, is paid for by a banker and Michael Milken, the man who would later get indicted for stock manipulation, insider trading, tax evasion, and become known as the Junk Bond King. Michael Milken, friend of Dare, I guess. That's crazy. How did that happen? How do they know each other? This is a duck. You can tell because it walks like one and it talks like one.
That's a nice duck. Dodo Donate tells that black man is right. People expect too much from teachers, doctors, and authorities in general. Then when authorities don't live up to their expectations, they don't listen to the teachers and doctors and scientists, and they are worse off. It's a vicious cycle. Yes, that is correct. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
In all my life, I've learned that if something says that it's one thing, but then it acts a different way, you should ask questions. A good one to start with is, how is it walking and how is it talking? Dare's first year was a trial run. Year 2, oops, cop shoots a revolver in a classroom. Year 3, though, something different happens.
Oh, kids turning in their parents for drug use.
Even though Dare is still small, 6 kids turn their parents in a 3-month period. From the early days, Dare has to come up with this policy, telling their officers, you're not here to gather intelligence. You're here as a teacher.
Wow. Mike donated $2. You think this has to do with technology? Is technology indirectly making people dumber rather than smarter? Yeah, definitely. Especially TikTok. But thanks for the donation, Mike.
Teacher. Dare's training documents are bathed in this language. Gain their trust. Gain their trust. And God forbid if a child does confide in you, just like coincidentally, not because you gain their trust or anything, get another officer and let them take care of it. We can't have you losing the kid's trust, because I guess that's important for drug education.
Perhaps unintended consequences, perhaps intended.
Intended or unintended?
The new DARE elementary curriculum challenges students by having them participate in active learning. The officer guides and directs students' progress and their understanding.
I'm going to ask for a student to help me by decorating the DARE box, and that'll be a place for all of you to drop questions in. But also that might be a place where you may want to tell me something in confidentiality, and if you do, make sure that you make note of it in that box, please. Make note that that's in there, or that you don't want anyone to hear it, that you want it to be private. When I mention the term confidentiality, what that means is it's something between you and I. It's private.
If a literal confession box isn't damning, I don't know what is.
Would you say that it's in line with what you know about Daryl Gates to start a program?
It's sad that books like that are now being banned by the alt-right today. VGM taking of course about To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah, true. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
Remember when I donated that very nice message to you about fleshlights and the holy trinity of bad words during your workout a few days ago? That was fun. I would like to do that again. Glad you didn't drop the weight and crush yourself.
Yeah, we'll do that again sometime. Thanks for the donation, 21st.
That inspired kids to act as informants.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I have no doubt that it occurred to him that this is a possibility.
As DARE grew, this became a huge problem. More and more kids started turning their parents in. Parents compared DARE to the late Weimar Republic. If DARE was good at one thing, it was not drug education. It was, as Wikipedia says, using children as informants.
The idea that you're going to use kids to rat out on their parents, the bottom of the...
I'm not depressed at all. I'm feeling great. I'm just high.
barrel. If they use that to lock the dad up, the kid's going to find out about it someday that it was because of what they did, and they're going to live with that guilt.
A 3-year independent study into DARE is commissioned by the Department of Justice, the same branch that funds DARE. Over the years, the DOJ approves of the independent agency's approach. Receiving feedback and notes, everything looks good. But when the study was ready and the findings were that DARE didn't work, the Department of Justice refused to publish it. Totally confused, the researchers go to the American Journal of Public Health, one of the most respected academic journals in its field. This study received exceptionally good peer reviews, so the American Journal of Public Health goes to publish it. When the phone rings, it's DARE. They said that DARE tried to intimidate them, to interfere, and prevent the public from knowing that DARE doesn't work. When a major television network was working on a story about DARE, the producer said, "They worked very hard to get our story suppressed." When a reporter questioned the effectiveness of the program in USA Today, he received letters from classrooms all over the country, coordinated. They were all addressed, "Dear DARE Basher." DARE didn't stumble into its failure, it protected it. But to DARE, it doesn't matter, because the money starts flowing.
My fellow Americans, this war is not yet won.
Reagan accelerates the war on drugs,
and our nation is united against this scourge as never before.
The First Lady attends DARE fundraisers. Walt Disney's daughter gives an extraordinarily generous donation, landing a spot on the board of directors. The federal government says it'll pass a bill to fund anti-drug programs. Gates perks up and says, "Success is when DARE is in every classroom across America." DARE.
TMR, donate Tiller some brain rot to boost your happiness.
10 beers, 4 shots, a couple margaritas, maybe 3.
That's a lot. Well, at least your wife wasn't driving. That would have been a whole lot worse. All right, drive safe, sir.
I had...
That's a good one. Women can't fucking drive.
Mr. Bartlett, what on earth are you doing?
I'm farming sulfur to offline the Chinese Zerg.
What does that even mean?
Is that the same link again?
10 beers.
Yeah, give me the same link twice. Thanks for the donation though, TMR.
DARE sends a lobbyist to DC. That bill then gets amended, specifically putting money aside for programs that are taught by uniformed law enforcement officials. DARE uses government money to create regional training centers and develops a decentralized...
Dodo Donate Tillers again. Was refreshing to see millions of Democrats protest against Trump the other day and not see any Palestine flags. Also, that's probably because most of the protesters were older people. Old people don't support Palestine, which we need to abolish Palestine. Well, unless they're getting paid by a Chinese billionaire, then you see plenty of old people. But, yeah. Yeah, it's good. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
centralized business model. Board of directors, executives, employees, training centers, then the cops. But if they hire cops, they're no longer cops. So they help police departments set up private nonprofits themselves, dedicating much of the officers' training to teaching them how to raise money. They then coach those officers to expand their program and bring on more officers, creating a really unique triangle shape.
Why does it kind of sound like a multi-level marketing scheme?
At the time, Herbalife and MLM was the fastest growing company in America. Perhaps Dare took some inspiration, but I don't know. It's not like Herbalife's founder and executive vice president was on the board of directors. They even donated $36,000 to Dare, specifically designated.
God 1VGU referring to Code Pink as old PPA being paid by billionaire CCP members. I agree.
Yes, that was the joke. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
For rent. They start taking donations from corporations. A famous one is KFC. Right there. Look at that, the logo. It doesn't say Dare. Dare America.
You know, if
education is so bad now that my 11-year-old won a class debate with Devil's Advocate and the teacher decided no more debates in class. Oh, yes. Why would you ever want people to learn critical thinking?
If I were to have gone back to write this book again, you know, now, like trying to figure out, go into like corporate archives to find out, like, why are they all sponsoring Dare?
Where would be a good place to find those that are potentially getting kickbacks? Officially, there's no kickbacks for these donors. There can't be. But in late 1989, Deputy Chief Glenn Levant, who helped run the DARE program at LAPD, ordered his elite detectives to spend 2 days scouting out a hotel outside of city limits. They were there to catch a thief, which is odd because they were outside of city limits. They're outside of their jurisdiction. Those cops should not have been there. It was revealed that the owner of the hotel was involved with the DARE program board, meaning the police were doing odd things that they usually would not be doing, things that benefited members of DARE's board.
To the case that shocked the world, and now it has exploded into a city out of control.
A few years later, several police officers were caught on camera in a racially charged attack, beating a man named Rodney King.
Terrible situation all night long.
And LA burned.
Fires, looting, gunshots, and now the National Guard may be ready to move in.
Gates was forced to resign. Levant shot up. His ambition kicked in. It was his time to be chief. But he didn't get the job. He left the force. The man who sent cops outside of city limits and reportedly ran the PDID's vastly more powerful sibling.
We were a mini CIA for the chief of police, and we worked some joint operations with the CIA.
Glenn Levant would leave the Los Angeles Police Department to take over DARE America. This is a timeline.
You know
showing
what's
DARE's
happening in America today reminds a lot of Nazi Germany, where the Nazis tried to shun vital information, only now with both the alt-right and alt-left doing it with both books and Israel.
Yeah, they're doing that. Thanks for the donation, Dodo. RDR Donateller's fed up my brain rot links, and the first one is just like those Palestine videos. Why is AI so good at pouring soup, lol? That's a good one.
Okay, let's make some happy little clouds. Motherfucker! You little motherfucking cat. Get the fuck out of here!
Bob Ross. Oh, that's good. Thanks for the donation, RDR.
Board of directors over time. With an alleged reputation of giving kickbacks to those that are affiliated with DARE's board, these are the people that Glenn Levant and DARE America reported to. You have billionaires and millionaires, high-powered lawyers, government officials or people with connections, high-powered police and their friends, media personalities, and some old friends. The football player that subdued RFK's killer, Bill Clinton's close confidant, a former congressman who is disgraced by financial crimes, who was assisted in those crimes by DARE's friend, the junk bond king, founders and CEOs of Hollywood's largest studios and developers, Michael Jackson, an infomercial king who will soon launder cocaine money, the lawyer who defended the city of LA in a lawsuit filed by the 15-year-old boy whose photos of RFK's assassination were stolen from him. But soon, trouble hits.
The largest criminal action against a Wall Street figure ever. Federal prosecutors indicted one of the richest and best-known Wall Street figures in America. His name was Michael Milken. Do you remember the movie Wall Street?
Dodo, donate $2. Love the content or comment. Stop driving war on China. Mainstream media, human rights violations. Yeah, right, okay. So they're trying to make it seem as though they're not working for the CCP. They're being told to do this by the CCP, by the way. It's so fucked. Base protester.
I don't want that thing on. It's about our don't put your hands on her. You're in a public place. News is just going to take a beautiful picture of this and paint us all as, you know, like we're
pro-humanity, pro-anti-genocide, pro-humanity.
Right, but it's the wrong. You're at the wrong event, dude.
Time since we knew they would.
I hate people who do that to camera people, so I think she's still an idiot. Can we finish with the drug video now? Yeah, we're watching it, Dodo. Jeez, thanks for the donation. Ben Boy donates $2. Weirdo pulls a gun on a dude and gets his ass whooped. Skip to 18.
$18.29. So you people have the audacity to celebrate Thanksgiving, but it's really thanks stealing. You're thankful for stealing this land. What do you want, man? I can see your spirit already. What do you want?
Stealing what?
What do you want, man? What's your question? What's your question?
Stealing what?
What's your question?
Stealing what? Stealing
this land.
Explain to me, brother.
Okay, Job 9:24, the earth is given to the hand of the wicked. So wicked people came onto this place, which is you devils, you red people, you Edomites, which goes into the Bible, and you stole this land from our brothers, the Native Americans. If you can see on this sign, they go back to the tribes of Israel, which you're not looking, so I know you don't give a shit. So you're going into slavery because of that, and you're going to receive a terrible comeuppance. All right? That's what's going to happen to you.
I am?
I don't care. Get out of here, man.
You don't care?
No, I don't care. Get out of here.
I'm from the turtle train.
All right, whatever.
What are you here for Native Americans?
Let me get a precept. This is about the Bible here. If you don't have any questions regarding the Bible, get down the street.
What the fuck Bible, man? I'm from the turtle
This is
train.
Job 9:24. Job
9:24 what? You know who the fuck you're talking to? That's my turtle train.
Okay.
Okay? I'm fucking native.
Okay.
And you're gonna talk to me and you're gonna tell me to fucking step nigger? Who the fuck are you, nigger?
Okay, so let me read you something.
Who the fuck are you, nigger?
Let me read something to you.
Yeah? Go ahead, fucking read.
Let me read something to
Because
you.
you're gonna fucking preach, nigger?
Let me read to you.
And then you're gonna fucking talk to me?
Let me read to you.
Who the fuck are you?
First of all, you gotta calm down.
I gotta calm down, but you're one call me a fucking imposter.
Yeah,
you're
because
here fucking protesting.
I am.
My
and I have a
fucking
right
clan.
To.
Yeah.
Can
but
I,
you're here
can I read
protesting
something?
my clan.
If you were here.
And then you wanna fucking talk to me
if you
about
were,
disrespect.
If you were
Shut
here,
your fucking mouth.
If you were here,
Shut the fuck up.
I'm reading about the tribe of the
That gun can't be loaded.
Native Americans.
Why did he rack the slide twice?
You think
3
this is
times
a fucking
now.
joke?
You're drunk. Calm down.
Drunk?
You're by 22 Division. You're drunk.
I don't give a fuck, nigger. I'm a fucking gangster.
Okay. Okay.
And you're here fucking talking about fucking naval, tribal fucking things?
You see this? This is live.
I don't
Be
give
careful.
a fuck.
You see this? This is how it is. This is how it is for us when we come out here. Hey, this
For you.
reminds
Oh, wait.
this reminds
Oh,
me
for you?
of Victoria and Dundas.
Oh, for you, right? You're a fucking
This is in fucking Toronto?
black man. You're talking
So
about my
what?
fucking people?
But we're brothers. If you are a Gadite, we are actually brothers, and this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and I come to
but
you
you're not
and I
listening.
ask you.
You're
No,
not listening.
Shut up.
No,
Yeah, dude, this is in fucking Toronto.
don't have to. I'm trying to teach you.
You don't need to shut up?
Yo, bro. Yo, bro. Yo, bro. Bitch ass! Don't ever come up here and disrespect my shit! Now you're. I'm not giving you this today. Stop here. He that leadeth and don't want to qualify. 22 division. And when Esau.
Fucking weird. Alright, thanks for the donation, Ben Boy.
And speaking of which, there is a new independent movie about that came out just today. You should watch it, VG. It's super relevant today and it's way better than anything Hollywood has put out recently.
Germany. The country of terror and tyranny.
There it is. Tonight?
Goodbye, Helmet.
Get the call. Really believe that.
It looks really boring. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
999 octillion 999 septillion 999 sextillion 999 quintillion 999 quadrillion 999 trillion 999 billion 999 million 999,999 999 octillion.
I'm gonna just skip that. Thanks for the donation, Jumper.
Michael Douglas, the lead character in Wall Street, Greed is Good. That was based on Michael Milken.
Friend of Dare, Michael Milken, is indicted in a federal grand jury for financial crimes. Many of the board's most powerful members directly benefited from his financing. Like this guy, billionaire Ron Burkle, connected to Harvey Weinstein, business partners with Sean Diddy Combs, close friends and donor to Bill Clinton, and his name appears on a list, officially made by a man who never had any clients. According to the data available to us, Ron Burkle is the longest running director on the board at Dare. The junk bond king is sentenced to 10 years in prison. He only served 22 months, and then the junk bond king was released. But he had to do a lot of community service hours, which he went to Dare for. You can see him here talking to board member Michael Jackson at a gala. And as Dare starts to fail, the board will also fall apart. Michael Jackson goes to criminal trial. Michael Ovitz gets fired from his executive role at Disney. Dare has a tense meeting with Congress and subsequently loses access to federal funding. Herbalife's founder suddenly dies. Close friends Michael Ovitz and Ron Burkle have a falling out. And several members on the board have either
No, be lively. I saw it. It's way better than the trailer makes it out to be. It's also based on a true story.
I'm not gonna watch that. The trailer looks too boring. Thanks for the donation, though, Dodo.
or are somehow connected to a private investigator named Anthony Pellicano. They call him the Sin Eater. The convicted felon was hired by the Clintons to discredit Monica Lewinsky and Jennifer Flowers. He was hired by Michael Jackson to investigate the children accusing him. Hired by Ovitz to spy on Burkle. He was a mob man who somehow got access to LAPD police files to aid in his crimes. Anyways, those are the guys that out of the goodness of their hearts want to help your kids. So what was Dare really all about? We can't say for sure, but we can hold it up to the duck test. Beginning in the 1990s, the United Kingdom taught the Dare curricula, but over time, they modified the curricula and strayed from only using police officers. They still used cops. They just also used professionals and educators. But Dare sent them a cease and desist, demanding that they stop using the Dare trademark. Coincidentally, after Dare UK made this change, early studies found an overall positive change in results. So while the official story is that Daryl Gates created DARE because he wasn't happy with the results of the undercover drug bust in schools, I believe that the Detroit News said it best. In 1983, then Los Angeles Police Chief Daryl Gates wanted to get police officers into schools. What resulted was a strange brew of politics, police, and education researchers, and explains DARE's long history of clashing with nearly everyone who tried to evaluate it. So if you were to ask me, DARE walks like an MLM and talks like a hustle. After years of attacking anyone that criticized their program, DARE finally admitted it here on their website. Scientists have repeatedly shown that the program did not work. Seemingly in hopes to regain access to federal funding, DARE has released a new program. Then this one works.
Today, Attorney General Jeff Sessions attended a gathering of DARE.
Over the past 3 years, DARE has had record-breaking expansion, training thousands of new cops. DARE is back.
The first DARE graduation in 2 decades.
There's so much interest in DARE returning.
Revamping the DARE program, and schools are on board.
And it does actually seem like DARE's new program is promising. But the irony of it all is that DARE's new program was evaluated by a man named William B. Hansen, a scientific prevention strategist, who back in the day worked with the Los Angeles Unified School District to develop a program called Project SMART. Thank you again to Surfshark for
Are you making tea? I don't know if Clarence got up to make tea.
sponsoring a portion of this video. And thank you to our patrons. You guys are amazing. Also, should I use this? I'll tell you what, here we go.
I did not know that about Dare. Pretty retarded.
Supporting PBS. Does quantum mechanics allow the future to retroactively influence the past, as in the infamous delayed choice quantum eraser experiment? Well, how about we get an actual quantum physicist, who many of you already know, to show us how to do this experiment at home, and hopefully put the matter to rest once and for all. Hey everyone, a couple of announcements before we get started. We wanted to let you know that your help with liking and commenting recent episodes is working. Thanks to that, the algorithm is sharing current episodes with more of our community, so please keep it up. And if you haven't yet, subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss new episodes. We also want to let you know that over at the merch store we have our first ever backpack. It's the Black Hole Bag. It's 28 litres, made from recycled polyester for durability and guaranteed not to Hawking radiate your quantum information. There'll be 10% off for the next 48 hours at the merch store. Links for everything in the description. Richard Feynman said of the double slit experiment that it has in it the heart of quantum mechanics. In reality, it contains the only mystery. Well, the mystery he was talking about is superposition. In the double slit experiment, that means a superposition of a single particle travelling through both of the double slits at once. The experiment hints that prior to detection at a screen, a quantum particle plays out all possible realities that may lead to that one measurement result. And the shadow of these overlapping realities, these interacting trajectories, is cast on the screen in the form of an interference pattern. But if you prune the reality tree early, say by measurement at one of the slits, the final pattern of particle locations reflects that. As if the standard double slit experiment wasn't strange enough, then we have the delayed choice quantum eraser experiments, in which the measurement of the particle's path to the screen is made after the pattern is recorded on the screen. The most famous example is the one by Kim, Yu, Kulik, Shi and Scully in 1999. Such experiments have been interpreted as saying that a future measurement can influence a past measurement, retrocausal influence. We did an episode on the delayed choice quantum eraser a long time ago. Now, we didn't quite promote the retrocausal interpretation.
I have no idea. I am way too high to be listening to this. I zoned out. I didn't even, like, literally hear him for most of that, and I heard him talking, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? Dodo donate $2, react to this VG.
What you're about to hear is disturbing, not because it's graphic, but because it's real. A Jewish American journalist, reporting on a humanitarian mission, describes being tortured.
This is AI.
And humiliated in Israeli custody. This isn't a rumor. It's first-hand testimony from someone who risked.
Yeah, this is AI.
She says no.
Is it? This person looks like AI.
The war
Jewish, and we let everybody.
This is not a real human being. Look at this. Look how little his head is moving. This is AI.
But we certainly fail to give any alternative. Well, there are now some really solid counter-explanations to the idea of retrocausality. A few papers have been published which get at aspects of it, and various YouTube videos also explain some of the errors in the retrocausal interpretation. So it's time for us to weigh in. Today, we're actually going to do a real experiment. And by we, I mean Mithana from Looking Glass Universe, who's figured out a way to do the quantum eraser in a homemade setup. She's going to show you how this experiment gives the illusion of information traveling backwards in time.
I'm really excited to show you this experiment because 12 years ago, I did a video on the delayed choice quantum eraser where I got it completely wrong. And it was only doing this experiment that made it finally click for me. The delayed choice quantum eraser is just a variation on the usual double slit experiment. So for that experiment, all you'll need is some light and two very narrow beams that you can shine that laser at.
What do we expect to see? Well, it depends on how we think about light. On the one hand, we know that light is a wave in the electromagnetic field, and like any wave, it should produce interference patterns as components of the wave passing through the different slits overlap, stacking up or cancelling out. At the wall, we get the classic double slit interference pattern. On the other hand, we also think of light as particles, which is fair because the classical electromagnetic wave is made up of indivisible quantum particles that we call photons. An intuitive but naive picture for particles is as a bunch of tiny balls, spray balls at our pair of slits, and they should end up forming two piles corresponding to passage through each slit. Photons are really some weird in-between thing between waves and particles. If you fire individual photons, they do look like they make single hits on the wall as though they were tiny balls, but after many firings, the double slit pattern becomes visible. The interpretation is that each photon really passes through both slits as a wave, and then the final destination of the particle-like spot is determined by the interference pattern made by that wave. In quantum mechanics, we say that the position wave function of the photon passes through both slits, or that it exists in a superposition of both trajectories, and in fact of all possible trajectories that reach the wall. But when the wall measures the photon location, that superposition collapses and a single position is chosen. Even then, the path the photon took to get there remains undefined. If you want to know the path taken, you have to measure it before the wall. For example, you could place a little detector at the slits that clocks the passing photon without actually stopping it. Essentially, we're collapsing the position wave function of the slits, not at the wall. Now that we know which slit the photon passed through, everything we see after that has to be consistent with it only passing through that slit, which means no double slit interference pattern. One common misconception is that if a photon passes through just one slit, it lands, ultimately just like a classical particle, in a single pile of points.
But actually, single slit interference looks like this. It looks a lot like double slit interference, but if you compare them side by side, you can see the difference. Single slit interference still has dark fringes, but just not as many as double slit.
This is a form of Fraunhofer diffraction, with the edges of the slits causing the interference in this case. So photons keep behaving like waves even if we measure which slit they traversed. If you want to understand single slit diffraction better, Mithana did a video explaining why this is and what it means. The transition from double to single slit interference occurs when we measure which slit the photon passed through. We sometimes call this a which-way measurement. That's weird enough, but at least in this case we have a sensible causal ordering. You make the measurement, it collapses the wave function, stopping it from forming a double slit pattern further down the line. Things get a lot weirder in the case of the delayed choice quantum eraser. In the classic experiment by Kim and collaborators, the photons passing through the slits are actually cloned using a beta barium borate or BBO crystal, which converts each incoming photon into a pair of near identical outgoing photons that are quantum entangled. The key is that both photons in this pair carry the which-way information. They both know which slit their progenitor photon passed through before the BBO crystal duplicated it. So, now we send one of the new pair, call it photon A, to our usual double-slit detector to be observed by Alice. The other, photon B, goes to Bob, who can extract the which-way information, or alternatively can choose to erase that info. The device is simple enough. The path of photon B depends on which slit it came through, so we can place a detector on both paths and see which one is triggered. We can also choose to scramble the which-way information by recombining those two paths so there's no way to tell them apart anymore. The bizarre result of the Kim paper and similar experiments is that if the which-way information is measured from photon B, then photon A acts as though we also measured which slit it came from. Alice sees that those photon A's have their which-way info measured and fall according to a single slit pattern. But if the which-way information in photon B is scrambled, Alice sees the corresponding photon A's landing according to the classic double slit pattern. It acts as though it did pass through both slits. It's like we change photon A's behaviour without actually touching it, only by measuring its twin. And if that wasn't weird enough, in the Kim experiment, the choice of whether to keep or discard the which-way information in photon B is made after its entangled partner, photon A, reached its detector. That makes it seem like photon A landed according to a choice that hasn't been made yet. And this has been referred to as retrocausal influence, and it's what makes the delayed choice quantum eraser so befuddling.
To explain how we can get around this paradox, I'm going to do an analogous experiment that you can do very easily at home. And when I say it's analogous, what I mean is that it's mathematically equivalent. Like, if you looked at the maths of the original experiment versus this experiment, it's exactly the same, except for how you label a few things. That's not to say, though, that this experiment is as cool as the other one, because the other one involves actual entanglement, whereas this uses a little trick to kind of mimic entanglement without actually making an entangled photon, which I wish I was able to do, but BBO crystals are very expensive. So we've got our laser here, and we've also got a double slit. In the original experiment, for every photon A that goes through the slits, they make a photon B, which knows the slit that photon A took. So photon B is what stores the information about which way photon A went. So we need, in our experiment, some other way to store that information. Well, we're going to do it in a really simple way. Okay, so here's our double slit, and we've put some filters in front of it. 2 different filters in front of each of the slits. In front of slit 1, we have a horizontal polarization filter, and in front of slit 2, we have a vertical polarization filter. Well, now we know that any light that makes it through this double slit is marked. If it's horizontally polarized, it must have come through slit 1, whereas if it's vertically polarized, it must have come through slit 2. In other words, the polarization is what's now marking whether the light went through slit 1 or slit 2, which is convenient for us because we can use this crystal to split the light accordingly. So this is called calcite. It's not as cool as BBO, which is what they used in the original experiment, but it does have one very nice property. If I put it here at this angle, it splits the light into two. These two bits of light represent the two slits of the double slit experiment. If the light is vertical, it came from slit 1, whereas if it's horizontal, it came from slit 2. The light in the top pattern only went through slit 1, and the light from the bottom pattern only went through slit 2. So we'd expect that each of these patterns are going to be single slit patterns. And if you look closely at them, you can see that they are. A double slit pattern would have a lot more dark fringes in it. So the calcite oriented this way is acting just like Bob's which way measurement and collapsing the light into a single slit. But if we rotate the calcite by 45 degrees, we'll see why this new measurement is now going to look like Bob's erasure measurement, and we're going to get the double slit pattern back. Okay, so that took me a while, but I've managed to rotate this by 45 degrees. And I haven't yet put the double slit in there, but I just want to show you what rotating the calcite actually does. So if you look over there, you can see that there are 2 dots. Well, there are roughly 2 dots. Again, it's a little bit noisy because my calcite here is nowhere near perfect, but roughly it's 2 dots. And we're going to give the 2 dots names. So we're going to call the top one plus, and we're going to call the bottom one minus. And it's annoying, but it's an inevitability of this geometry that they're not aligned with each other anymore, so they're not one on top of each other. So, with the magic of post-production, we'll stack these so that they are one on top of each other. That's going to make everything a little bit easier in a second. To figure out why calcite oriented like this is going to be an erasure measurement, let's see what happens when we put in vertically oriented light into this calcite. You can see that the total amount of light decreases, but both dots are still there. It's not like last time where horizontal light all goes to the same dot and vertical light all goes to the other dot. With this plus and minus measurement, half of the vertical light will go to plus and half will go to minus, and same for horizontal. But then what does that tell us about light that's going to go through this marked double slit? So light that goes through the first slit is horizontally polarized, whereas light that goes through the second slit is vertically polarized. And previously, our calcite was letting us measure the polarization and therefore measure whether it went through slit 1 or slit 2. But now, think about what this plus-minus calcite is doing. It's going to take light from the first slit and it's going to have an equal probability of ending up at plus or at minus, and same for the second slit. So now, just looking at the light after it goes through the calcite isn't enough to tell us anything at all about which way the light went. In fact, it scrambles up the light from both paths, so it basically erases all of that information that we had gotten by marking the paths. So, what do we expect to happen then? Well, let's find out. Oh man, that looks so good. Okay. That kind of worked out better than I expected. Okay, so have a look. And hopefully you can see 2 double slit patterns. So if we use the calcite in its previous orientation, then we're using it to measure which way the light went, and that collapses the light into going into single slit interference. But if we use the calcite in this orientation, the plus-minus orientation, we're using it as an eraser. It erases the information about which slit the light went through, and so we're back to the double slit. If you look really closely at these 2 double slits, you'll see that they don't exactly line up. And in fact, they seem to be offset from each other the exact right amount that if you superimpose them, it looks like the single slit interference pattern. So what's going on? Well, it turns out that this is the solution to the entire paradox. Let's go back to the original setup to see why.
In the Kim experiment, photons are cloned by the BBO crystal, and the which way analysis is done with only one of those. We called it photon B. Just as our experiment sorts the photons into two interference patterns, the original experiment sorts the B photons into two bins. For the measure case, those bins tell you which slit the corresponding photon A also went through. For the erasure case, there are still two bins, but there is no which way information in how photons are sorted into them. Alice never sees a double slit interference pattern until something very specific occurs. At first she sees just a blob of positions for all photon A's. Then Bob comes and tells her which of those had a twin photon B for which the which way info was measured and for which it was erased. The measured cases are still a blob, basically a blurry single slit interference. Now, the sum of all of the cases in which the which way info was erased are actually a very similar mess, a blob. So Bob also needs to tell Alice which of those erased photon Bs ended up in each of the separate eraser detectors. Only then can Alice disentangle the featureless blob of photon A positions and see interference bands. And her patterns look a lot like Mithana's, clear peaks and valleys that are slightly offset, and when you merge them, you get a featureless pile. This is a critical point that's often glossed over in descriptions of the quantum eraser.
I have no fucking idea what the hell they're talking about. I feel like if I wasn't high, I'd be able to understand most of this, but I'm too high. Dodo Donatillers, watch the astronometry video after this, then take a nap after sleep stream. Okay, thanks for the donation, Dodo.
So to recap, the solution is Alice always sees the single slit pattern, and that's regardless of what Bob chooses to do on his side. But a single slit pattern is really just two double slit patterns on top of each other, the plus version and the minus version that's slightly offset. Now, if Bob does happen to do the eraser measurement, then he and Alice can reconvene afterwards and sort Alice's photons into the plus and minus groups, and they find those two double slit patterns. In our experiment, we did this sorting via calcite, but in the real version of the experiment, it just looks like post-processing the data to make the single slit interference pattern into two double slit ones. So instead of Bob's erasure measurement instantly uncollapsing the wave function and turning the single slit interference into the double slit, you only see this effect of his measurement much later, once he and Alice sift through the data.
The story told by the retrocausal interpretation of the delayed choice quantum eraser is that Bob's choice of measurement retroactively influences where Alice's photon lands. But the same logic works the other way around. The position of photon A measured by Alice absolutely influences where photon B can go, where it's measured by Bob.
Just for reference, I've drawn the plus double slit pattern here and the minus one here, just so that we can kind of see where they are. And then let's say that Alice measures her photon and it happens to land right here. This lines up perfectly with the minus double slit pattern, but not at all with the plus one. Now after that, Bob measures his photon B and he chooses to do an erasure measurement. So that means that there are two possible outcomes. He could get a plus or he could get a minus. But could he get a plus? I mean, that wouldn't be consistent with the result that Alice has already got. And so actually Alice's result forces Bob's result to also be minus.
I should add that Alice's measurement of the position of photon A only affects one thing for Bob, and that's which of the eraser detectors photon B will land in, assuming photon B makes it all the way to the eraser section. But then, one of the eraser detectors will strongly favour photons whose twin landed in one set of bands on Alice's screen, while the other favours the complementary set of bands.
So we've had this causality thing the wrong way around this whole time.
We already saw those Frank shorts before. Those were older.
We thought that it was Bob's measurement that forced Alice's photon to act in a particular way, but now we can see it's the other way around. If Alice's measurement happens first, then her outcome is what determines what happens when Bob does his erasure measurement. In other words, Alice's outcome is what forces Bob's to happen in the way it does. But that's only the case if Alice's measurement happens first and then Bob's. But here's the twist. Does Alice's measurement always happen first? Or does that depend on your frame of reference?
It's possible to set up this experiment so that Bob's detections actually happen before Alice's, just by changing the path lengths for each section. If we do that, we expect exactly the same result. The same interference fringes are revealed when photon A is filtered according to where photon B lands in the eraser. In that case, it seems that B caused A, but with the same result as when A caused B. This makes it harder to assign a causal power to either case. It's also hard to even imagine a causal path connecting Alice and Bob's observations, beyond the sort of spooky action at a distance that Einstein so hated. That said, there is a way to explain the causation that connects Alice's and Bob's observations that doesn't need to assign a causal direction. It all depends on what mysterious property really determines how our photons get sorted into the two detectors in the quantum eraser, or how they are sorted into the two interference patterns by the calcite crystal in Mithener's experiment. What property is that? Well, you're going to have to wait for an upcoming episode for that one. But in the meantime, go check out Mithener's channel for quantum deep dives and more DIY.
Did not follow any of that.
Last week, I got on a plane and flew from Taipei to Phoenix, Arizona, to visit Semicon West. For the first time ever, the semiconductor industry's biggest show is in Phoenix. I spoke to a lot of people on the floor and attended as many presentations as I could. Everyone was amazing, and I learned a lot. 5 years after TSMC's fateful 2020 announcement, the Phoenix semiconductor industry has been on fire, figuratively. In this video, a vibe check into America's semiconductor boom. Yes, it is real. I've gone to Semicon Taiwan and Korea before, but this was my first trip to Semicon West. It was always in San Francisco in July, which conflicted with other things on my schedule. But the shift to Phoenix in October worked better for me, and the new digs made it novel enough to go. I think the current plan is to have the show alternate from now on between San Francisco and Arizona every year. Not sure how long they intend to do that, but the novelty factor meant that this show was well attended. With that being said, however, it might not be the best show for you. It is indeed. Here's why. At the start, Semicon was a show held by the fabs and semiconductor makers themselves, but over time it has evolved into a show of equipment makers, hoping to sell to the fabs. So rather than Intel, you have KLA, Lam, Tokyo Electron, and smaller supplier companies. There are good presentations that can be a good education for a beginner, but for the most part I found most things on the show floor to be just semiconductor adjacent. If you're interested in the science and hard technology, you might need to attend one of the smaller specialized conferences. This year's show, I can sense the tightrope that the sponsoring industry organization SEMI has to walk here. The trade and geopolitical situation right now is interesting, to say the least, somewhat volatile. And we must acknowledge that TSMC first came here to Arizona in part because of this. The belief that semiconductor manufacturing must, quote-unquote, come back to the United States resonates throughout the show, couched in dry terms like supply chain resilience. One of this year's major sessions was Resources for Expanding Operations in the United States, featuring a variety of speakers and presentations on topics like speeding up fab construction, and those were quite well attended throughout the 2 days. Yet at the same time, SEMI is an international organization. Companies in Asia and Europe are key participants, and nothing is possible without the technology, skill, and expertise contributed by internationals. You don't want to alienate that. So, a big theme that has been repeatedly underlined in this Semicon has been, quote, together stronger, end quote. The Wi-Fi password is literally stronger25. They might as well get everyone in a circle and go apes together strong. Another big theme is AI. Not sure if y'all have heard, but AI is kind of hot right now. At Semicon West in Arizona, a semiconductor plant was established in 1950. The Greater Phoenix Economic Council estimates that folks get diplomatic. Locals I have actually met are polite, but
it's so fucking boring. Oh my god, that was fucking boring.
But I was sharper in Alabama. And I think I finally realized a pattern where when I have 2 days of carb up, so in Toronto Pro I had 2 days of carb up. Olympia I had 2 days of carb up. Alabama I only had 1 day of carb up. So mind you, I totally deplete to make weight.
Yeah.
And like sometimes I can even starve myself. So I make weight when I have 2 days to carb up. I look soft. I look a little bit soft. I'm still dry. Like I still have striated glutes and everything, but I'm still kind of soft. Alabama Pro, I had only 1 day and I squeezed everything in and god damn, I was sharp. Like I deliberately do a blood test a week before my show where I'm supposed to be at my all-time worst. And I use that as an indicator of whether or not I should continue or not. Not the prep. I'm going to continue the prep because it's only 1 week out, but as in to do another show. I like to always test myself at my worst, considering that I'm almost 40 now.
I'm trying to remember.
Well, here's the thing, right? When you overdose, it all comes down to estrogen. I think higher testosterone, the reason why there's the notion of it's less detail when you're on more drugs is because a lot of it converts to estrogen, and estrogen.
I feel like Julius Maddox will never hit the 800 pounds bench press. He's getting older and can't be over 400 pounds forever. What he's been doing lately is hitting some impressive numbers that he's already hit, and then lose strength, and repeat. Thoughts?
He's too unhealthy. I think if he didn't eat like shit and wasn't so fat, he probably would have hit 800, but I don't think he's healthy enough to maintain the level of fitness or get to the level of fitness required for an 800 bench. So, like when Scott Mendelson broke the Raw record, I think he benched like 700. He was actually lean. The guy looked like a fucking rhino. So yeah, I think the guy just too fat, eats like shit. He probably is diabetic. He has signs of diabetes. So I think that's just holding him back. And he's probably going to snap his shit up sometime soon and then just never get to where he was. Thanks for the donation though, Killian Titan.
I'm leaving Australia. Been talking about it for years, a couple years too long. Selling everything I have, including my chairs. About 2 weeks away from having it. Would your cat be as nice?
Somewhere. So this AI... This seems like AI. Yeah, Gummy would not sit there like that. Thanks for the donation, Lotta.
Estrogen retains water.
I don't know if I'm fully on with that.
Nah, bro. No, 100%. 100%. Estrogen retains water, makes it harder to retain fat as well.
No, I'm on with that.
Oh,
but I don't know if
that.
I'm fully on with it just being from estrogen.
Oh, well, no. I think it's because what else is it? More testosterone. You're building more muscle.
It's just water retention in general.
Yeah, as a side
muscle,
effect.
right.
But why do you get that? Why do you get water retention? Why is that side effect there from testosterone? Because it converts to estrogen.
Well, we're talking about water retention in general, not just in the subcutaneous layer, right? We're also talking about like intramuscular, right?
But you want that though. Intramuscular is very different than subcutaneous. That's why like I can take.
What open bodybuilders do you see more shredded than classic? How do you feel about what Urs looks like now versus what Urs looked like when he was in classic and he was shrinking down? He's still fucking shredded, but
let's talk about Hadi Chupan.
Okay. What do you want to talk about?
So he's fucking diced as shit,
mm-hmm.
and he's as dry as people in classic. So the reason why
not in the back.
I was just gonna say the back. The reason why the back is not as dry is because I don't think it's a matter of retaining water there. I think muscle, just when it starts to grow, like let's say you have like your back, you got not the rhomboids, what are they called? Those two tubes in the middle. Not the rhomboids, what are they called? Right on top.
I'm doing it right here, I don't care.
Top of the lower back.
The lower traps? There's the upper and lower traps.
Yeah.
There's the rhomboids also in the same area.
Yeah, they have a name. Erectors, the spinal erectors, right? You have the spinal erectors right there. And then in the middle, you have like space a little bit between them. And when you're very dry, you kind of have that Christmas tree when you hit a back double biceps.
Mm-hmm.
When your spinal erector starts to fucking grow so much, they start to grow like into each other. And then the gaps start to go away. That's what I think happens. And a good example is Ramon and Mike. Look at both their back double biceps. Ramon has less back muscles than Mike. But then when they're both diced, there's something about Ramon's back that looks more dry.
Dodo, donate $2. Can you watch the Fern video? Yeah, we'll watch that in a minute. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
Rupert Murdoch, 4 of his children, and a lot of lawyers. According to the New York Times, this is the first time in 2 years they've all been under the same roof. The Murdochs have turned against each other, divided into 2 factions, and now they're at war. They're fighting over the family business, the most powerful media empire the world has ever seen.
If Rupert Murdoch is not the most powerful media mogul in the world, he would like very much to be.
Donald J. Trump. Trump is at his best when he's sort of slightly tongue-in-cheek like that. He's a very funny guy.
These companies control the news for millions of people, what they see, read, and hear every day.
Durian rider nigga durian ride.
News speaks directly to America's conservative voters and to its current president. Rupert Murdoch is now 93 years old, and at this point, it's still not clear who will succeed him.
Have your dad ever had this conversation with you? Someday you'll run this company.
No. My father's focused on, the day-to-day. That's really not an issue that I concern myself with. As I said,
other people concern themselves with.
That's their business.
I've always and will always strive to be qualified and considered for that position. It's not my decision.
One side wants to seize control of the family trust. The other wants to stop them at all costs. Whoever wins will have enormous political influence.
but their victory will almost certainly tear the family apart for good. Much of our research for this video draws on reporting from the New York Times, The Atlantic, and other accredited news outlets. Direct quotes attributed to members of the Murdoch family are largely based on this reporting. All sources are listed in the video description. That said, many details and nuances could not be independently verified by us. We also contacted all major Murdoch family members to request statements confirming the main aspects of the story, but none responded. It's early Sunday morning, and young Rupert Murdoch is still in bed. He's 21 now. He's always been a bit of a loner, but now, at Oxford, he's coming out of his shell. He's socializing and dabbling in left-wing politics, even joining the Labour Party. But what he really wants, more than anything, is the respect of his father. Sir Keith Murdoch is an Australian newspaperman. He dreams of creating a national news chain in Australia, so he skillfully cultivates political influence to bypass media regulations. So Keith burns with ambition. He hoped his son would too, but Rupert...
You know what? I started taking melatonin a few days ago, and I've noticed swelling in my ankles. And I'm Googling it right now. Apparently, there are some people who report ankle swelling and swelling of the face, neck, and tongue from melatonin use. So I think I'm going to not take melatonin and see if that, edema goes away. So it was really, really bad this morning. Really weird. I didn't know that.
Rupert never did well in school. He preferred to skip class to go gamble.
Lotta donated $5. Let me see.
I tried to overtake Michael, I think 3-4 times, and every time he was pushing me on the cross. And I knew that way.
I'm taking 5 milligrams, and it's sublingual.
Next up, when I try to overtake Michael again, he's gonna push, he's gonna block me. I can see there's a back marker, driving middle of the track.
Because that's the only thing I've changed to my supplement routine. And I've only just noticed taking 5 milligrams melatonin. I'm getting a lot of swelling in my legs and ankles. So I might have an allergic reaction to it. And it's at 5 milligrams. Sublingual. The thing is, though, apparently a lot of supplement companies don't dose melatonin accurately. And oftentimes they're massively overdosed. So, sometimes by 10 times. So, yeah, I'm gonna stop taking melatonin. I think that's what it was. It's I was thinking, is it the growth hormone I'm taking? But I've been taking it every day. 5 IUs for almost 3 months, and I haven't had it up until now, so it's kind of weird. No, haven't been eating salty food.
It was logical to Michael to overtake him on the left because the next corner will be turning right.
I had the Chinese food tonight, but that, I had the swelling before. So no, my salt intake is fairly low, actually. And my diet's been the same for the last, couple months. Exact same calories,
I decided to go, of course, to the other side.
A brilliant move there, either side of Zonta, and Hakkinen brilliantly takes the lead of the Belgian.
Yeah, my diet hasn't changed, though. So it doesn't make any sense.
Grand Prix.
It was quite a risk when we overtook him. It's guaranteed he needed to change his underpants after the race.
F1 is so cool. I've been taking the same dose of roids. Like, again, it's just weird that this would happen all of a sudden. Like, and I don't think I'm getting estrogenic sides either, because my nipples are actually less hard than they were before, and they're not itching at all, and they were before.
Gamble on horse racing. All his life, Rupert has yearned for his father's approval, but now he'll never have the chance to earn it.
I was sleeping in one Sunday morning when my tutor came in and woke me up, told me that my father had died. Any memory I really have of it is one of complete shock.
Rupert flies back to Australia as fast as he can, but he misses his father's funeral.
I've been eating tofu, rice, sweet potatoes, broccoli, and Brussels sprouts.
Then he finds out that his inheritance is significantly diminished.
What? You had Chinese takeout? You know that's who's favorite food, right? So you got greasy Chinese takeout without her? Where did you get it?
Yeah.
You may have heard to just elevate your legs, but the wall can enhance this effect even more. Chair.
AI overview. Melatonin can cause swollen ankles, side effect reported by some users, along with other swelling in the extremities and face. Have been getting a bit of facial swelling, too. That's the only supplement I added recently. So it's gotta be. Like, I haven't really changed the drugs I'm on. Like, I've just been on the testosterone and boldenone.
Sir Keith established...
And boldenone doesn't cause water retention like that, and I'm at a pretty low dose, too.
Family trusts back in the 1930s. Family trusts are commonly used to manage assets and pass on wealth to future generations. But Sir Keith's death is sudden and...
You didn't answer my question, you disrespectful, ungrateful, retarded cuck bitch. I asked where...
I got the vegan Chinese food from Yugi Rolls in Ottawa. Thanks for the donation, 21st.
And unexpected, and his estate carries a serious amount of debt. To pay this off, Rupert's mother had to sell off half of his father's estate. Now Rupert is furious. He's been cheated. Instead of the empire his father was working to build, he inherits just a single local newspaper. The News of Adelaide. He takes it and does what his father never could. He builds a newspaper empire. By the time he's 40, Rupert has gone further than his father could have dreamt. He founded the first national newspaper in Australia, The Australian.
That is hilarious.
And soon, he used that platform to help catapult a politician into the Prime Minister's office. He's conquered Australia. Next up, the rest of the world. This is Chequers, the British Prime Minister's 600-hectare county estate, located 50 kilometers from London. It's afternoon. Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher is sitting down to eat. Thatcher wants to keep this lunch a secret. For the rest of her life, she'll deny it ever happened. But notes in her official archive tell a different story. Sitting across from her is Rupert Murdoch. In a few months, Rupert will turn 50. He's easily one of the most powerful figures in Australian media. His company, News Corp, dominates.
Lol, bro drove 2 hours to Tenon vegetarian because Clarence made him. Just like the good old days, eh? Nigger.
We didn't go to Tenon. Thanks for the donation, 21st.
It's about 2/3 of the newspaper market in the country.
I've not really ever been to therapy, and chances are if you go to therapy, they're just going to bullshit you. Therapy is catered towards women, and women are silly fucking morons, so if you go to therapy, you're probably not going to get any help. You don't need therapy, you just need to stop caring. You have complete and utter control of yourself. You do not have control of what's around you, so get over it. If your parents abused you, or your girlfriend doesn't like you anymore, or whatever the fuck your problems are with other people, who gives a shit? They don't matter. You can just move on with your life and not fucking care. So you don't need therapy, you just need like a reality check. You just need nihilism and stoicism.
And it's gone global, acquiring newspapers in the UK and the US. Now he sets his sight on a new prize, the Times of London, one of the oldest and most respected newspapers in the world. Acquiring the Times would give him control over 40% of the British press, a monopoly, according to UK law. That would mean legal scrutiny. Possibly hoping to avoid that scrutiny, Rupert is now having lunch with the Prime Minister. Back in Australia, he established a successful formula. First, acquire a newspaper and make it successful through populist journalism, then leverage that success to obtain more properties. Next, gain control over a prestigious newspaper. Respected broadsheets tend to reach a different audience, powerful people, including politicians. Speaking directly to people like this means a chance to influence policy. Through endorsements and editorials, it can even mean having an impact on elections. For a newspaper mogul intent on growing an empire, that kind of influence could be worth its weight in gold. In the UK, Rupert applied his formula on a bigger stage. His toehold was News of the World, a weekly left-wing tabloid newspaper he acquired in 1969. A year later, he added a daily, The Sun. Both papers became known for headlines like these, and for a willingness to focus on sex, drugs, and scandal. The Sun even introduced a new daily feature, a topless page 3 girl. It broke with tradition on Fleet Street, home of the British press.
We were tearing up the old ways and inventing a new form of journalism, a new way. We were the enfant terrible of Fleet Street and proud to be so.
Sales began climbing. A decade later, The Sun was Britain's best-selling tabloid. The new approach also earned Rupert a nickname.
That strata of society called him the Dirty Digger.
Now Rupert is making his case to Thatcher for why he should be allowed to take over the Times of London. He just wants to make improvements to the paper, he says. He'll be a hands-off owner. Later on, he'll guarantee this with a written promise. Afterward, he thanks her for the lunch with this handwritten note. He calls her, "My dear Prime Minister." There's no evidence that Rupert and Thatcher made a deal. Thatcher carefully avoids any suggestion of this even in her own documents. Her official record of the event states she did no more than wish him well in his bid. But this official record doesn't even cover the entire meeting, just the salient points. And in accordance with Thatcher's wishes, it was kept confidential. No one outside of the Prime Minister's office was to know about her lunch with Rupert. This has led some to speculate that over lunch, Rupert Murdoch and Margaret Thatcher may have arrived at an understanding. What is certain is that within weeks, the Monopolies Commission decides not to look into Rupert buying the Times. Soon he owns the paper. At the same time, Britain is stuck in a recession. Thatcher is deeply unpopular. But in April 1982, Britain goes to war with Argentina over the Falkland Islands, and Rupert's tabloid, The Sun, goes all in on supporting it. As Britain's best-selling tabloid, The Sun reaches a huge portion of the British public, and many believe its aggressive support for the war hugely boosted Thatcher's popularity. Some have even suggested this might have saved her prime ministership. Rupert applies his formula on the other side of the Atlantic too. His tabloid, New York Post, helps deliver the long-shot candidate at Koch to the New York City's mayor's office.
I wouldn't be in a position to say I was mayor of New York City if Rupert hadn't endorsed me. He gave me credibility.
Then the Post gets behind Ronald Reagan's presidential candidacy.
The endorsement of the New York Post of Ronald Reagan was crucial. Reagan carried New York State in the 1980 election.
During the Reagan administration, Rupert's drive to expand faces fewer barriers. At the time, American regulations prohibit owning a major newspaper and a television station that share the same market. Under the Reagan administration, the Federal Communications Commission temporarily waives these regulations for Rupert. Only American citizens can directly own more than 20% of a TV station. So Rupert applies for citizenship. In September 1986, he receives it, quickly enough that some claim his application was fast-tracked. With these roadblocks out of the way, he's free to buy a handful of television stations. Then he buys a movie studio, 20th Century Fox. A month after receiving his American citizenship, he combines these new assets and launches the first new major broadcast television network since the 1950s. Fox's shows are a bright, edgy alternative to straight-laced broadcast television, and Living Color presents sketch comedy with a black, hip-hop inflected perspective. The Simpsons and Married with Children reinvent the family sitcom as dysfunctional and even racy. And then Reagan eliminates the fairness doctrine, which had required broadcasters to give equal time to both sides of controversial issues. Many see this as paving the way for partisan media, and eventually a channel that will change the American media landscape forever.
Thank you very much for your attendance at such short notice. You have the press statement, I think, which tells you everything.
On January 30th, 1996, Rupert Murdoch announces the Fox News Channel. His network TV station, also called Fox, has been on the air for a decade. Now he's finally making the leap to cable. Rupert's news station will be challenging the 400-pound gorilla of 24-hour news, CNN. To pull it off, he hires this man.
I'd like to thank Mr. Murdoch for the kind words. Thank you all for coming this morning on short notice. I know that you're good journalists, therefore.
His name is Roger Ailes. Rupert hired him to build Fox News from scratch. They have a lot in common: conservative politics, an instinctively anti-establishment point of view aimed at what they see as liberal elites. And it's a crystal clear vision for Fox News. The network will cater to an overlooked audience: older, white, less educated, church-going, rural, and most of all, conservative, so-called Middle America. The two men will reportedly joke that they've uncovered a whole new market: half the country. Ailes was media advisor to Presidents Richard Nixon, Ronald Reagan, and George H.W. Bush. He knows the target demographic well. He's also a controversial figure in the media landscape. Just weeks before the debut of the Fox News Channel, he left a job at NBC after reportedly hurling an anti-Semitic slur at a co-worker. And he's known as a magician of the divisive power of media. For Fox, he's later quoted as saying, "It's not enough that conservatives like us, but that liberals hate us."
Fox News Channel, fair and balanced.
When Fox debuts, the studio looks cheap, thrown together, but it's undeniably different. It's colorful and deliberately edgy. Over and over, the station's slogan is repeated: fair and balanced. It worked, and ratings soared. By 2002, Fox News had become the most watched cable news channel in America. For many conservatives, it became the only channel, and its base was always expanding. In 2007, a study found that when Fox News entered a local media market, it pushed viewers to the right and made them more likely to vote Republican. This was called the Fox News effect. If a Republican politician wanted to reach their base on the national stage, it was said the only road went through Fox.
Republicans originally thought that Fox worked for us, and now we're discovering we work for Fox.
News Corp's power and influence now spans several continents, but Rupert himself was aging. He had always considered his empire a family business, and like his father, he had considered his legacy.
My two sons are very interested in having major careers, and I'm doing what I can to train them, give them opportunities, and see what mistakes they make and what triumphs they have.
But which of his children would one day take control? On that point, Rupert could be maddeningly hard to read.
You have 3 adult children.
Clarence is just doing like a collab with me, vlogging and stuff.
Lachlan, James, and Elizabeth, each of whom is now a very accomplished media executive in his own right. At the same time, you have reportedly told your biggest outside shareholder, Prince Waleed, quote, "I'm going to stay on as CEO until I'm 130. So, as I say,
I'm more realistic than that, really.
Rupert Murdoch raised his children to be media moguls. He pushed them to be part of his empire.
We knew that Dad loved the time he had with us, and he wanted us to be part of his world. And I think that as a child, you have to be part of that world in some ways if you're going to be engaged with him.
One day, one of them would take over the family business. But which one? According to observers, the children were constantly trying to figure out where they stood with their father. Who did he favor at any given time? Family life revolved around succession. each child grew up trying to prove themselves worthy. Elizabeth Murdoch is often described as bright, capable, and like her father. With his help, she purchased a pair of television stations in California. About a year later, she sold them for a $12 million profit. Soon, she'll be climbing the corporate ladder at her father's satellite TV station.
Is he making tea again? I want tea. Hey, Clarence! Hey, Clarence! Yo, you making tea? Can he not hear me? I hear him walking around up there.
Sky B. She's tough, ambitious, and has her eye on the top job.
I have always and will always strive to be qualified and considered for that position. It's not my decision.
But in the race for succession, many believe she has a handicap.
It has been said that he's never been a person particularly comfortable with women in senior positions.
Did you say you got a quote on that?
I haven't got a quote on that. It's been said. I said it as I said.
I don't think he'd ever actually said. I don't know if that's true. I can think of a number of senior women that he's come to count on and rely on in very, very important positions. I think Dad is traditional in many ways.
Lachlan Murdoch is Rupert's eldest son. He's often said to be the apple of his father's eye. He just graduated from Princeton University. Now he's working on his father's newspapers in Australia. He's young, rich, and a budding celebrity.
Have your dad ever had this conversation with you? Someday you'll run this company.
No. My father's focused on, the day-to-day.
Prudence is Rupert's only child from his first marriage. She's also the only Murdoch sibling to avoid the family business, though her husband works for News Corp. James Murdoch is often called the family rebel. Dropped out of Harvard to follow the Grateful Dead on tour. Founded a hip-hop label, Raucous Records.
Yeah, that's really not an issue that I concern myself with. As I said,
Lots of other people concern themselves with.
That's their business.
Anna Murdoch is Rupert's second wife. Anna's been part of News Corp since she was 18 years old. She met Rupert while interviewing him for one of his Australian newspapers.
Jeez.
Anna's on the News Corp board of directors. She's mother to Elizabeth, James, and Lachlan, and she helped raise Prudence. As they grow up, Anna worried about what the competition to succeed their father was doing to her children.
Your sons, are they planning to go into the newspaper business?
I think so, and so is my daughter. I mean, I can see lots of arguments along the way.
Yeah.
Who knows what will happen?
It wasn't always easy. Rupert's work always came first.
Newspapers are in his blood. He's a good Australian businessman who's come here. I'm going to show you how to do it.
And it never...
I think we're going to have to watch the rest of that later. I think I'm going to try to get some sleep, head to bed. Cuddle with my cat.
Did you know cats secretly test how much you respect them? Yep, they've got their own little ways, and most of us fail without even realizing it. Let's go through them. Test 1. The belly test. When a cat shows you their tummy, it doesn't always mean rub me. That area is super vulnerable, so when they roll over, they're actually testing if you'll respect their boundaries. If you reach out and start petting and they swat at you, you failed. You're supposed to admire, not touch. Test 2. The blocking test. Ever notice your cat just standing in a doorway like they own the place? That's not random. They're watching to see what you'll do. Will you step over them? Wait for them to move? Avoid them completely? However you react tells them how much space you're willing to give. Test 3. The attention test. Cats love attention, but only when they want it. If you give them too much when they're not in the mood, they might walk away or get annoyed. But ignore them too long and they'll knock your stuff over just to remind you who's boss. They're always trying to balance it. Test 4. The staring test. If your cat stares at you, it's not always because they're in love with your face. In cat language, long eye contact is a challenge. If you keep staring without blinking or looking away, they might see that as disrespect. That slow blink you see sometimes, that's their way of saying, I trust you. So if your cat ever acts weird, maybe they're just checking if you're worth their trust. Has your cat...
Wow, cats are amazing. Alright, well, I'm going to try to get some sleep. Big thanks to everybody who donated on Streamlabs. Really appreciate it. Clarence is heading back to the UK tomorrow, so We'll be back to our regularly scheduled programming. I love you all so, so much. In a very, very gay way. And I hope you have sweet dreams. So nighty-night. Probably see you all tomorrow. So, sweet dreams. Good night.